Isn't Zelda the greatest video game series ever?
Ocarina of Time is.
Just stop lying out of your ass. What is this? What are we doing here? What is the point of this? Another random rap over Zelda?
Pointless podcast.
Oh, I see. So,
or random ramble, whichever.
About just the series in general, or what?
I don't know.
I guess so. Maybe we'll get more specific as we go on, or something. I don't know.
I don't want to sound like a dumbass, and I think I don't know if you guys are caught on to this, but I don't think Ted likes The Legend of Zelda.
What
didn't you just hear him? He said it was the greatest series ever.
Yes, of course. Totally not sarcasm at all.
Okay, well, obviously, Ted, you've got a lot of flack on my Let's Play at just from part 1 alone, because you expressed your opinion about how you think that Zelda 1 is not a very good game at all. It's not. I mean, it's aged horribly. You know, the sequels are so much better in terms of everything. And
part of that is it's an NES game.
I can understand that to an extent, but
I mean, look at Metroid. It hasn't aged well at all either.
Well, Metroid hasn't aged well at all either. I don't like that game either. And I mean, like, if they did a Zero mission to Zelda 1, I guess that would be good.
There you go, using Zero mission as a verb again. That's your answer for everything. Dragon Warrior for the NES is pretty bad, but if they Zero missioned it, you got a good game in your hands.
I don't know how they could Zero mission Dragon Warrior, unless if you made the grinding automatic, and if that's the case, you could beat the game in, like, an hour, maybe.
Well, let's put it into one thing. Like, the only reason why I'm doing Legend of Zelda with Matt to begin with is because it's the first game in the series. You know, I'm doing the Zelda series in chronological. No, I shouldn't say chronological order. Just from order they were released.
It's like there's no such thing as chronological order in Zelda.
What would you do? Upload Majora's Mask and Wind Waker at the same time? That's even if you consider the split timeline the correct one.
Forget chronological order. I'm obviously doing Majora's Mask. Well, Matt's doing Majora's Mask before Wind Waker. You know, Ocarina of Time before. So so on and so on. But, so we need. I'm not a fan of the first Legend of Zelda. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But I'm
not a fan either. But I can understand why it was important for gaming at the time in which it was released.
Yeah.
I can
understand.
That was
1986, 1985 in Japan.
No, it was 1986 in Japan, 1987 in the US.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what were games before this? Either kind of point-and-click-ish type of things or side-scrollers. This was really one of the few console games, especially console games, where it kind of let you just free roam and figure things out on your own.
I think what Ted's getting at is that yeah, it was groundbreaking for its time, but people today still consider it one of the best games ever made for the NES, anyway. Which I disagree. Yes, I completely agree that it was it's historical. It was groundbreaking, but that doesn't mean it's a good game today.
The thing I think it is that, yeah, it's like the first time all of these sort of things were done. Yes, I agree that, and it was important. But when you think about it just sort of objectively, the first time you try something, it's probably not going to be as good as the second time around you try something. So the fact that people just sort of say Zelda 1 was great back then, and it's still great now, without just sort of looking at it deeper, it sort of just bugs me, I guess.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I still think it's aged better than Metroid has.
Debatable.
I just find Metroid way too easy to get lost in.
I have an easier time beating Metroid than Zelda.
Huh. I think that when it comes to maybe progression, I think it would be, you're right, it's easier for you to get lost in Metroid than in Zelda. But as far as control goes, I think that Metroid's aged better than Zelda has. Zelda 1 just feels very stiff to control to me, and Metroid isn't nearly as bad.
I won't go into what I think controls better. Well, because it's two different genres. Zelda is over top, and Metroid is 2D side scrolling.
Well, let's put it this way: the control difference isn't as vast between between Zelda 1 and, let's say, A Link to the Past and Metroid to, let's just say, Super Metroid. it doesn't feel. If you compare when I play Zelda 1 and then go to A Link to the Past, it feels much better immediately.
Yeah, I still say Link moves too slow in A Link to the Past.
A Link control, dude. We're gonna get into this now. Link to the Past controls so much better.
No, it controls so much better. I still think he runs too slow.
I think. Well, that's what the speed boots are for, my friend.
Yeah, but it's like the speed boots of Final Fantasy VI. You should just have a run button to begin with.
Well, don't they have a...
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying that it's like, I find that it's just mostly stiff, mostly in the fact that you can't go diagonally, which I don't get why they wouldn't have that in there to begin with.
Well, because it's an NES game.
You know
well, the boomerang can go in 8 directions.
Why don't we just make this a Zelda retrospective podcast, since we obviously have no idea where the fuck we're going with this?
Sure, I'll figure out what to call it when we're...
Yeah, it is the 25th anniversary of the series, goddammit, and we have to pay some kind of respect. We have Sonic podcasts, we have Batman podcasts. Why not Zelda? I grew up with the games, except for the first and second one.
I came into it in 3D. I remember playing a little bit of A Link to the Past as a kid, but considering I was like 4 and 5 at the time, after a while it got a bit hard for me.
The only game I can really say that I played as a kid was Majora's Mask, and that
scarred you for life.
Well, it scarred me for life, 1, because the game's fucking creepy, and 2, because for some reason I sucked so much as a kid that I could never really get past that first 3 days when you're stuck as the Deku Scrub. So I pretty much just played that over and over and over again until I just sort of said, fuck this, and gave up on it.
You mean it wasn't Ben drowned?
No, it wasn't Ben drowned, though that still is pretty creepy. But yeah, when it comes for me and Zelda, it's just mostly me as a teenager just going back, trying to see, okay, everybody loves these games. Are they really that good? Me going back and saying, nope.
Between the ages of 3 and 7, I'm trying to reach into here, my life was surrounded by Zelda. Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Zelda 3. I never played the games then, but everyone else was. And by that I mean my uncle. You know,
your uncle played fucking everything.
Yeah, he played fucking everything back in the day. And, you know, because, you know, and I can't say enough how much I was exposed because of him.
Although, speaking of that, my uncle was in college when Zelda came out, and he and his dorm mates were doing nothing but trying to figure shit out in Zelda.
You guys have cool uncles. None of my uncles play video games.
Well, my parents also played video games back in the day, too. Both of them have beaten the original Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, my uncle play a bitching game of Pac-Man.
Oh, my mom kicks my ass in this Pac-Man.
But you know, Zelda was everywhere in my early childhood, and I didn't. My first ever experience with a Zelda game is when I secretly raided my uncle's room, turned on the Super Nintendo, and tried out Link to the Past's save feature. Woo! It's like, yeah, I just saved the game, and then here comes my uncle sprinting up the stairs, telling me, "What the fuck are you doing?"
What? You deleted all of my files? No.
No, I did that once before, and I'm never doing that again. But well, not with Link to the Past, Final Fantasy IV, but that was my first ever experience with Zelda. I didn't actually get to play a Zelda game until the late 90s, and it was Link to the Past.
The first one I got to really play to any length was Ocarina of Time, and it's still my favorite. I mean, is there any personal stuff before we start going on the list of games?
I will say that the first Zelda game that I beat was Ocarina of Time, which was just a few months ago, actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I thought you said you beat Wind Waker.
No, I haven't played Wind Waker. I thought
you said you played it. Eh.
No, I mean, I might go out of my way to find it because it looks decent. I mean,
I just rebought my copy last night, actually. I went to the Sonic Generation art show last night, which was really underwhelming.
You nerd.
Well, it was really underwhelming, to be perfectly honest. No one showed up. You know, the crowd didn't form until like 3 hours later, but by that time I was already gone. And at that section of the city, there's like all kinds of shops. So I went to the GameStop near there, and they had, you know, a lot of old school GameCube games. So I got another copy of Melee because my old case went missing, and I don't like a black DVD case sticking out of the GameCube collection. Yeah. It sticks out like a fucking sore thumb. And I rebought Wind Waker and Resident Evil 0.
Hold on. Before you go further, I have to comment on one thing. Did you just say old school GameCube games?
Yes, old school.
The GameCube is 10 years old.
It's 10 years old.
Wait, hold on. Pikmin turns 10 today. Yep. Holy shit. Pikmin and Melee turns 10
today.
Wait. It was fate then. But anyway, I went into Link to the Past first because it was the one I was exposed to the most as a kid. You know, I mentioned Zelda 1 and 2, but Link to the Past got the most attention from me. So I went to try it out finally, and I had a lot of fun with it. You know, it's the gameplay elements, the you know, all the techniques you can learn, the items you can get, the music. You know, it was great. I had a really fun time with it. And that's when I really started getting into the series. It kind of peaked with Ocarina of Time for me, and since then, I'm kind of on and off now with the series. Because, like, after Ocarina of Time, that was the last time I really got into a game like that. Like, I did play and beat Wind Waker, which was enjoyable for the most part, but had its share of problems. And then I played Twilight Princess,
which was a big step back.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't find Twilight Princess as enjoyable as Wind Waker, but I didn't find Wind Waker as enjoyable as Ocarina of Time.
And now Skyward Sword is out, but we'll get to that at the end. Because I'm in the middle of playing it. I'm
not even 4 hours into Skyward Sword. I got the game at launch day.
I'm just entering the third dungeon.
I got the game at launch day, but I just haven't had the time to sit down and play it. Besides getting past that enormously long intro.
Yeah, that intro's way too fucking long. We'll get to that.
About you guys,
like too.
This is worse. God damn it!
It's worse.
I think.
The intro is the game picks up steam after it.
Yeah, but what about you guys? Like, what did you?
Me was Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
I came to Ocarina of Time about around the time Majora's Mask came out because my friend got Majora's Mask and I found the game interesting, so I picked up essentially what I thought basically the prequel to Majora's Mask. And I loved the game, so I played Majora's Mask, and Majora's Mask is its own little side thing, which is fine. Then I played Wind Waker, and like you said, that has its share of problems, but it has grown on me as time has gone on.
Yeah.
I thought it was much worse than it actually was after I beat it, but it's grown on me some.
Yeah.
Twilight Princess was just a major disappointment for me, mostly because it got delayed for, 2+ years? Which I think it was all entirely spent just to shoehorn it onto the Wii.
Yeah, most likely.
Because, just visually it doesn't look good. It's a blatant rehash of a lot of things. It was just like, no. This was not what I expect from a Zelda game. I have gone back and played the top-down 2D games, but to be honest, that's just not the kind of game I like. I just don't like the way games are top-down. My depth perception is shit when games are like that, so I just have a much harder time than most people do. So I can understand why people really like A Link to the Past. I just can't get into it purely because it's top down.
Yeah, just to go into that, I remember back at the end of our top 100 SNES lists, I mentioned that Link to the Past is better than Ocarina of Time because Link to the Past doesn't have a water temple. And you said, well, at least I can tell what floor I'm on. I should have retorted, but that's what the fucking map is for, my friend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, it says what floor you're on in the top corner of the screen.
Yeah, but I shouldn't need an actual indicator to tell me where I am. The game. I shouldn't need an indicator to tell me what floor I'm on. I should be able to tell that naturally.
Okay. Well, Ted, what about you?
Well, again, it's like the only Zelda game I really had any sort of exposure to was, as a kid, was Majora's Mask, and...
Spin Drown.
Yeah, that didn't really turn out well. I just sort of ignored it for the most part, but then, I'd say, when I turned 16-ish, that's about when I started downloading a whole bunch of, virtual console games. So I figured, you know what, maybe I'll just give the games another shot, Maybe I was being a little bit unfair. So I downloaded Zelda 1. I spent maybe 6 hours wandering around lost with no clue what to do. And
it's a secret to everybody, Ted.
Yeah. And then I pretty much said, fuck this, I'm going to try something else. So I downloaded A Link to the Past, which I can honestly say I enjoyed a lot more. It's just not my sort of thing, I guess. And then earlier this year, I got Ocarina of Time, which was pretty good. I enjoyed.
Then he went to Ganon's castle and then procrastinated for 4 months.
Well, that's because I discovered Final Fantasy IV, which was a much better game.
You were right on Ganon's doorstep. Just finish the game.
You were aiming the light arrow at Ganondorf, and then you paused the game and never looked back.
Final Fantasy IV. I mean,
At least finish the game.
I did finish the game.
Eventually. After I didn't nag you for 4 months.
It's the same thing with my brother. He played the shit out of Final Fantasy IX and stopped at the end of this 3. It's like, what are you waiting for? You're at the fucking end.
Finish it.
Yeah.
I did finish it. For the record, I finished Chrono Trigger too, so that...
About fucking time.
Yeah.
Did you recruit Magus?
Yeah, I did recruit Magus.
Yay.
I made sure to look up how to recruit Magus so I didn't fuck it up. But anyway, it's just that, like, in general, yeah, I played the game, it's just not my sort of thing for the most part. I mean, none of the games are terrible, except for the first one. It's just, I don't care for them.
I will say I think Zelda 2 is worse than Zelda 1.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't touched Zelda 2, so...
But, okay, well, I think at this point...
I think it's easily the worst Nintendo-made Zelda game.
I think we should... Alright, at this point, I think we should just go into each game and give our thoughts about it.
Zelda 1, it's a secret to everybody. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Master using it, and you can have this.
And Dodongo dislikes smoke. Which I,
The Poe dislikes loud noises. Well, why does that fucking help me?
North, south, west, south, whatever. Okay, that's great. Where do I go? What do I do with that?
Be sure to use a flute near the
highlighting and dance.
Be sure to use a flute near the water, even though you've used it everywhere else and it does jack all.
If I place a bomb here, it opens up a cave. But if I place a bomb there, oh wait, nothing. Oh well.
Be sure to remember to run up a lightened wall.
Wait, just one question. Why can only some bushes burn? What are the other bushes made out of? Metal?
Well, the bush was late to the fireproofing event.
Game logic, Ted. Game logic.
All the seeds had fireproofing agent sprayed on them. They grew up with that. That tree was running late because he didn't have his morning coffee. So now he's susceptible to fire. Ted, you're thinking too hard about this, man.
Obviously.
All right. Well, Zelda 1.
It's a trip.
Like Ted, I actually, I really got. I first had my full experience with Zelda 1 when I downloaded it off the Virtual Console. Yeah, I didn't even.
The Zelda preview. The Zelda quad disc for me.
I didn't even attempt to download the ROM of it years ago, which is how I was playing most of my games back then. But I saw the Virtual Console. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm curious enough. Let's give it a shot. I went about 2 hours. I got, I beat the first 3 dungeons. I had the white sword at that point, and then I brought up the guide.
You kind of need one for this.
Yeah, it's like Simon's Quest. You need the guide in order to,
or a fucking lot of free time.
Yeah.
Did the guide come with the game? Because I hear
the game, yeah, it even says it on the front of the cover. It comes with maps and strategies to help you win the game. I think it was one of the only games that did that.
It's almost like the developers knew it was impossible.
The developers knew what they were getting into because no one had seen a game like this at the time.
Yeah, so they figured, it was like a safety
net.
Yeah,
pretty much. It's also the first game to have a save feature, wasn't it?
Not
as far as NES games.
One of the first, yes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Famicom allowed you to save in other games beforehand, but it was definitely the first game on the NES that allowed you to save.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how do you save? You die. Unless you had a second controller that you can press select and save there. Wish I knew that for my LP, but oh well. But it's just because at this point I was already spoiled by Link to the Past's 8 direction swing, the spin attack, the overall better control,
better horrible excuse for sprite mirroring.
Yeah.
Link is superstitious, so he always has the shield facing the south. Except you lie, it's because you didn't want to have to code so the sprite would change direction.
Yeah. Zelda 1 has a lot of moments where it just frustrates the fuck out of you. To this day, and it'll become clearly obvious when I get to the end of the LP. I fucking hate some of the enemies they throw at you at the end of the game, like the dark nuts, especially
dozens of dark nuts and the mummies,
the blue dark nuts. The mummies are pretty easy actually. The likes that eat your shield permanently, unlike the other games, and whiz robes, fucking whiz robes. I hate whiz robes. I cannot fucking stand them. It's like so many deaths went into the final few parts of the game because of those fucking creatures.
And then they're painfully easy in Wind Waker, and you can wreck their shit.
Yeah. And it's so fucking satisfying going back into that, and it was like, oh god, this feels, I got such a hard on. But it's, and you know what though, to this day I still have not even attempted to do the second quest of Zelda 1, which
neither have I. The only second quest I've done is Master Quest in Ocarina of Time.
I do know that you can jump immediately to the second quest if you name Link Zelda. But to this day, like, I will gladly admit that I'm somewhat intimidated by the second quest.
Second quest, swordless run, 3 hearts. Watch out, we're dealing with the badass over here. Yeah, someone's done that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure many people have done it. It's just that the dungeon entrances are more cryptic than ever. I hear there are some dungeons where you actually have to pay a heart container in order to gain entrance to.
Wait, you mean like you lose a heart?
You lose a heart to get in. It was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Maybe one day, and I'll make sure Matt's with me when I do it, I will do the second quest. But that's not going to be for another 20 years.
Yeah. So is that everything you have to say about Zelda 1?
Zelda 1, groundbreaker for the time, not a good game today.
Nope.
Sorry.
I completely agree with Johnny.
I'm more or less ambivalent to it.
Pussy. Take a side. Stay with it.
Well, I don't hate the game. I think it plays just fine. It's just that it's hard to figure shit out these days. At least when you're playing on your own.
The other games are much better.
Yeah.
I can agree.
And then we move on to Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Fuck this game.
Actually, the only game that actually has a numerical number.
Yeah.
Numerical number, but that's so fucking redundant.
It's actually one of the few direct sequels, from what I can tell.
Well, the handheld games are more direct sequel-y than the
Well, I know that like the DS stuff is right after Wind Waker, and Majora's Mask is right after
Ocarina of Time.
But everything else, it's just pretty much sort of there.
Yeah.
Zelda 2.
Zelda 2...
Completely different game, hard as balls. It's a pain in the ass to play.
I've never beaten Zelda 2.
It's the only one I've played that I've never beaten.
Yeah. It's not because... It's not as cryptic as Zelda 1, I don't think, anyway.
Good luck fighting with
really
that short-ass sword, hard to block. You have to fucking gain XP in my Zelda game. By the way, what happened to your robe?
But, I don't know, this was a game that I've had some experience with as a child, and I never got past the first fucking dungeon because I didn't know what the fuck to do. First off, it's bad enough. Like all the enemies are so fucking hard to hit because you're pathetically short range,
and they all have projectiles.
Yeah, fuck.
Again, by the way, what happened to your bow?
I got nothing to say for this game because, again, I've barely played the damn thing. I know everything about it. I just never played it, extensively. I don't even think I ever got to Death Mountain, perfectly honest.
I never gotten there either. Again, I don't fucking care. The game's so fucking hard, and I just don't care. The only worthwhile things is that lady who heals you by letting you into her house. Wonder what that means.
I don't know.
Wah.
And of course, the infamous "I am error,"
which turned out to be his name, which is not a glitch in the programming, actually. Yeah.
Japanese and your R's and L's.
Yeah. But the one thing that really bothered me about Zelda 2 was the life system. You actually have lives in Zelda 2.
You have lives in Zelda 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get them by picking up little statues of yourself.
Yeah. Fucking
I can understand that being obnoxious, especially if you get to Death Mountain and lose all your lives.
Yeah. But you know what though? Yeah, back when I was a kid, the whole when Zelda, sorry, not Zelda. Sorry, I just got Ganon banned for that. When Link dies, the screen becomes red. You see a silhouette of game over, Return of Ganon. That used to fucking creep me out as a kid, actually. So just black sprite with white eyes. But nowadays, I just find it hilarious. It's like anything can die now. You can just have that game over screen precede it for instant lulls. But other than that, though, I have nothing much else to say about Zelda 2. It's just
it's so fucking hard.
I will, I'm gonna get to it for the LP and Brain Scratch if you guys need me to.
Well, you're doing A Link to the Past first.
Yeah,
it's like you're doing A Link to the Past and I'm doing Ocarina.
Yeah, I don't care.
We'll see what happens.
I don't care about chronological order for Brain Scratch. To be perfectly honest, we just do games when we fucking feel like. Yeah.
Maybe we should have Ted do Majora's Mask.
No, Ted should do Zelda 1.
No! I'm doing Gen 4 for you guys eventually. Do you hate me that much?
Yes.
Glad to know I'm feeling the love here, guys.
Okay, so
A Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past, my personal favorite Zelda game in the series.
Third favorite.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say, no.
Third favorite. I still enjoy Ocarina and Majora's Mask more.
I don't know really what to say about it, honestly. It's just sort of
again,
there.
Again, to me, it's top-down. And I just have problems with games that are top-down. So ultimately, my enjoyment of it is kind of stunted.
Your view of the game, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I agree that Ocarina of Time, in the end, is just more immersive. And there's more to do in Ocarina of Time, and, it does a better job of getting you into the game's story and atmosphere. But Link to the Past, to me, is, like, fun in an almost arcade-like sense.
What I do every time I turn on the game? Step backwards and beat it in 5 minutes.
How exactly does that glitch even work?
It has to do something with the prison where you rescue Zelda
and scrolling.
Yeah, you can like manipulate through walls and you can end up in Ganon's chamber in like 5 fucking minutes. You don't even have to fight him; you can just walk past him.
Yep, because you can go through walls.
Yeah,
it's like screw you, Ganon walks in. That's
I've never done it, but I want to do it so bad. Well, Link to the Past. It always,
It might as well just be a remake of the first game.
You know what? You probably... Well, I think it's like... If we want to go into the chronological sense, it happens before the first game.
But just in terms of how the game works, it might as well just have been a remake.
It has a kick-ass map. The dialogue, the townspeople, everybody, the non-playable characters always give you a clear idea of where to go. There's even a fortune teller to tell you where to go next.
They bring that back in Skyward Sword.
That's awesome. The fun mini games to collect rupees. The multiple areas you can go to get hidden items to go. If you go out of their way to like bomb this wall or cut this tree or
visit the secret room where that kid has his name engraved in that.
I never got to that room. See. But to me, it's not worth it for all those blue rupees.
I'm sure it was worth it for the kid 10 years later.
Yeah. Hey, if we're gonna put your name into the game, it's gonna make your room fucking impossible to get to
without glitching.
Yeah. Poor bastard.
Hey, his name's in the game, so
yeah. There's so many cool elements about Link to the Past. The moment you get into the Lost Woods, the moment you pull out the Master Sword, and then suddenly your sword can shoot out projectiles when you got full health, all that stuff. It's a progression. You start out weak.
I still never got the whole sword shooting laser beams thing, but whatever.
That all started with Zelda 1.
Yeah, I know, but it still never made any sense to
me.
I
don't care either. I just know my sword can shoot fucking laser beams and it's fucking awesome, so don't question it.
You hold in your hand a sword that shoots laser beams.
It's kind of like it's very much like in Mega Man games or pretty much any game where you start out weak but you get progressively stronger and it just makes the journey more awesome as you keep going along. Because by the end of the game, you are so pimped out with accessories, hearts, strong weapons.
Of course, it begs the question: how is Link carrying all this shit around? But
I don't know.
Hammer Space Pocket,
probably,
or a TARDIS or something. I don't know.
The amount of challenges is perfect in Link to the Past. Every dungeon gets progressively harder. I never felt there was an unnecessary difficulty spike, and the bosses are just really cool to fight. I'm such a Zelda fan that I don't know any of the names, but like the eyeball that's surrounding Cloud. No, that's a Kirby enemy. I'm talking about the eyeball that's surrounded with other eyeballs. No, I was gonna say Twin Rova, but I think that's Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Twin Rova's Ocarina of Time.
Again,
I can't remember many of the boss names. I don't remember because I don't play A Link to the Past all that much.
Well, even then, I think The Link to the Past didn't give you the boss names before you fought the boss. I think the advanced port did that.
Yeah.
But that was after Ocarina of Time, what they gave you the idea of actually naming the boss you're fighting. Yeah, I would like to know the name of the guy I'm fighting, thank you. Bongo. Well, maybe that wasn't a good idea, by the way. But, this is the one I played the most. This is the one I enjoyed the most. Because, to be perfectly honest, one of the reasons why it takes a while for me to get back into Ocarina of Time is because of its length.
Games were getting longer at that point, so...
Yeah.
Part of it is just development.
In terms of the Zelda game, I can sit down and start playing and have it beaten within a few, maybe 1 or 2 days. It's this game. It doesn't require me to get completely in the mood.
Well, I know Ocarina of Time well enough that I can do a good run of it in 1 or 2 days.
It's different with you, because that's probably what you think about Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. So, I can get to the Master Sword in a good few hours, because I've memorized the first 3 dungeons completely.
So what do you got? And of course, to me, the music. I love Link to the Past soundtrack. When you're in the Triforce chamber, the ending credits, the ending theme.
I think Ocarina of Time's better in terms of music.
I'd actually disagree. I disagree.
I think Link to the Past is a better soundtrack.
When it comes to Zelda 1, I hate Zelda 1's music because there's only...
It only has 3 music pieces.
I find... I'm going to piss everyone off here, but I don't like the main Zelda theme. I kind of find it bland and forgettable.
I don't think... Alright.
In Zelda 1, it sounds kind of
It's repetitive as fuck. But in
every arrangement after that is true. I love it.
Time. It's in Majora's Mask, isn't it?
Which one?
The Zelda theme.
Yeah.
The overworld theme.
Yeah, it's in Majora's Mask.
That's okay. I think it just, with the right composition and instruments, it sounds amazing.
Did you get the 25th anniversary CD with Skyward Sword?
Yes, I did.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I wonder, how come Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask have no individual tracks, yet Wind Waker and Twilight Princess get a 10-minute medley?
Because nobody likes Majora's Mask, Ryan.
I do. Hey, I do. I admit it's hard as fuck at points, but...
But when it comes to A Link to the Past's music, I like A Link to the Past's music a lot, like the forest and the dark world.
Could you speak into your mic a bit more? You're coming in a bit fuzzy.
Well, it's just when it comes to A Link to the Past's music, it's the dark world and the forest. It's got really memorable tracks, and it's got a dungeon theme that's more than 10 seconds long.
You're a dungeon for the fucking win.
It's just, I think that, in general, A Link to the Past has a better soundtrack than Ocarina of Time, where I don't find a lot of Ocarina's songs particularly memorable, other than, the Ocarina pieces. That's just...
Well, the Ocarina pieces were designed with 3 notes in mind to be more memorable.
Well, they're also atmospheric too.
Yeah, it's part of the. Do you guys watch extra credits?
Yeah,
I
watch extra credits.
Yeah, they had a big discussion as to why game music isn't quite as memorable as it used to be, and it's mostly because of atmosphere and more instruments.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that a game can a song can have a great atmosphere but still be memorable. One of the best examples I can think of is Kraid's Lair from Metroid. That's a pretty creepy piece, but it's also very memorable. It's my favorite Metroid song.
It's also on the NES, and you had to focus exclusively on the melody.
Yeah. Well, but going into that though, you were mentioning earlier, the musical pieces often tend to be catchy when they're really simple in mind. Because when I think of Ocarina of Time, one of the first musical pieces that comes to mind is Gerudo's Desert.
Yeah, I love that piece.
Yeah, but
that's a good song.
But it's because it's simplistic in comparison to everything else in the game.
Well, most of the other dungeons are trying to be atmospheric more than anything.
And I mean, I understand that. It's just I prefer to have like a memorable song.
I believe Koji Kondo said he did more atmosphere for the individual dungeons, so you wouldn't be hearing the same music all the time while you're trying to figure stuff out, so it wouldn't get repetitive.
And I can understand that, but I'd rather have a dungeon to have actual music than just atmospheric noises or ambience. I would have to me, I think it would have worked better if some pieces of the dungeon had music and just other pieces.
Well, Skyward Sword fixes that.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't got that far into Skyward Sword yet, so I really gotta start. I gotta sit down and play the game.
Well, the thing is like they do stuff like that. Like in RPGs, you're wandering around in the same dungeon for about an hour, and you've got essentially the same music the entire time. So it's like I don't see why it couldn't work for Zelda either.
Yeah. Well, anything left to say on A Link to the Past?
I just can't get into it. I mean, I understand why it's people love it. It's pretty much took everything from Zelda 1 and made it better. I just can't get into it.
Yeah, for me, I like the game, but it's top-down, so I just can't quite get into it.
Okay.
And Johnny loves it. It's his favorite, like ever.
Yeah. Alright, before we obviously make the jump into 3D...
Should we talk about the unholy trinity?
Well, I was I forgot. Alright, well, good thing you mentioned that. I thought I was going to talk about the handheld games.
I really don't play any of the handhelds.
I have to say, the only handheld I've ever had experience with was Phantom Hourglass. That's it. I never played Link's Awakening. I never played Minish Cap. I never played the Oracle of Ages or Seasons.
The only one I've ever played to any length whatsoever were the Oracle games, and that was mostly just because I borrowed them from my friends at the time.
Yeah.
I played a bit of Oracle of Ages, maybe like an hour, and I got bored and I turned it off. Meh.
I just can't get into the handheld series.
I just think Zelda as a series isn't suited to handheld games.
Yeah, you're right.
I can understand that because, like,
I mean, with 3D handhelds now, maybe you could do something with it. But handhelds are meant to be shorter games and
have objectives and missions that you can get done in like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, Zelda games you can't quite do that.
No, it takes time.
So, as far as console gaming goes, before we eventually get into the 3D realm of Ocarina of Time, there was a certain unholy trinity for the Philips CDI.
I just wonder what Ganon's up to.
Games that none of us have played.
But goddammit, we might as well have played them. Gee, sure is boring around here.
My boy, this piece is what all true warriors strive for.
Guys,
I just wonder what Ganon's up to.
I'm not gonna fucking lie, I was watching all of the Faces of Evil cutscenes before we started this conversation.
Join me, Link, and I will make your face the greatest in Cornadine, or you will die.
I wonder what's for dinner.
Oh boy, I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok.
You know what, though? The first ever exposure I got to the CDI games was from a YouTube poop.
Me too. I thought initially that someone had just, drawn them on, like, Flash or something.
Yeah. I mean, my god. I mean, I'm not even talking about the game at this point. We're just talking about the fucking cutscenes.
No one cares about the game. It's all about the cutscenes.
We all know the game is bad. We just like the cutscenes.
Like, who animated these cutscenes?
It was a Russian studio, from what I know. But...
It's like, but do you have any kind of standards at all? What was your inspiration for making like to this day, the first image that pops into my head when it comes to the Faces of Evil cutscenes is when Link has that fucking troll face, squeaky face that he makes when he's trying to get a kiss from Zelda. It's like that. You made that.
In King Harkinian's 4 face. And of course, oh god, I can't remember what's his name, the Squatala guy.
Oh, but I love that guy, though. Squatala, we're off!
Down there are the faces of evil. Your sword is enough. But it would take me 5 minutes, your sword is enough.
Fuck you!
It is actually the first game you get to play as Zelda, though.
It fucking sucks!
Can you play as Zelda in any of the other games?
No.
The closest is Spirit Tracks.
Yeah.
But, I never played that game. I just know that Zelda possesses
things.
Armor pulling into her Full Metal Alchemist. But, other than that, You know,
I just took one look at the game and saw Link in a train and went, no.
I'm not sure if there exists CDI emulators.
I'm sure you can get them.
I'm pretty sure I can find an emulator easily, but the ISOs are probably a different story. So I'm probably just gonna one day, 10 years from now, buckle down and get a CDI.
If they still work at that point.
If they still work at that point. Well, it's a CD-based technology. I think it can last a little long. And maybe one day I will get the unholy Triforce of Zelda games. Actually, I have no idea how much the games cost nowadays.
They can go up to $200+.
You know what? I'm rocking Amazon right now, and oh Jesus Christ, Faces of Evil $75, Gamelon is $80, and
Zelda's Adventure.
Zelda is not even here.
You're probably gonna have to check eBay for Zelda's
Adventure.
Yeah,
god damn it.
What about Hotel Mario?
Hotel Mario?
Yeah, where's the Hotel Mario love?
Hold on, just to go off on
well, okay. Hotel Mario is done by the same animation company, so
yeah. Okay, so let's go off a tangent here.
Toast.
This Hotel Mario is only $30.
Oh wow!
Probably because it's not as notorious.
No, it's not as notorious.
It has that intro cutscene, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It was so nice of the princess to invite us over for a picnic, gay Luigi.
But to this day, though, I think it's the game where, you know, just to go off of more of the Hotel Mario tangent, I think it's the game where Luigi's probably the most dickish in terms of story. Like maybe we could get those enemies to tell us if we persuade them. It's like, wow, it's like that's fucking mafia shit.
Must be John Leguizamo playing him.
But anyway, back to the CDI. So.
My cakes will burn.
You know, I'm looking very much forward to playing those games for all the fucking wrong reasons.
Yeah.
At least you know they're going to be bad.
Yeah.
You dare bring light into my lair?
How do you defeat Ganon in this game? You throw a book at him.
Reading. Oh no.
Easiest final boss ever.
Yeah. Alright, but enough with the bad, and in with the...
Best game in the series, in my opinion.
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which, even for me, even though I didn't have an N64, back when it was first released, everybody was talking about it, besides Final Fantasy.
No one will ever shut up about it.
Well, it's still the game all Zeldas are compared to now.
Yeah. If it wasn't Final Fantasy VII, it was Ocarina of Time that everybody was talking about.
I love Ocarina of Time. I think it's just so well designed, and it really pulls you into the story, the world, the atmosphere. For an N64 game, mind you, some of the graphics and technology has aged.
Well, that's what the 3DS game was for.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great remake.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time was a game I didn't initially get to play until 2004. My uncle lent me his Zelda collection, the one that had the Zelda 1, 2, and Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time.
Suspiciously missing A Link to the Past, but whatever.
Yeah, I didn't get that. So I played it there. So yeah, my first exposure to Ocarina of Time was not through N64, but the GameCube. And I gotta say, this is a rare case where I think the N64 controller is a much better option.
It's designed for it more.
Yeah,
the GameCube was a suitable replacement.
It works.
But this is a game where you need the N64 controller to really get into it. You know, it's like
it tore me up playing it on the 3DS, only having 2 quick button item slots.
Yeah, it did throw me off a bit. It's like to me it's like a Sonic the Hedgehog. To me, I feel the most comfortable playing a Sonic game with a Genesis pad because it just goes so well with it. You know, the buttons next to each other. The D-pad is so smooth, and you know, it's just overall, it's great. It feels I'm having more fun with a Genesis pad than GameCube, PS2 controller, Xbox 360, all that. And actually, looking back, Ocarina of Time was the first ever Zelda game I ever completed without really looking at a guide.
I will say, yeah.
I only completed the game with a guy, but obviously you needed to get all that.
I never 100%ed Ocarina of Time.
I 100%ed it 3 times. No, wait, 4. It's the game I've 100% completed second most to Mario 64.
So you've gotten all the golds.
Goldshilas. Even though you really only need to get to 50. Getting 100 is just for completionists.
Yeah, Matt was because Matt usually comes to my house like every Sunday now. We meet up for pizza and Let's Plays. And he always brings his 3DS with him, and he's always doing the same fucking thing. He's hunting the gold Skulltulas and trying to catch a big-ass fucking fish.
Fuck the fishing mini.
Which he named Caesar.
But, as far as gold Skulltulas go, I can remember a good 80 to 85 of them.
Yeah.
For the last 15 I need to look up, because I always forget where they are.
Well, I think most of the problem with doing stuff like that is that you'll never know where you missed one. And this is just for anything like that. Well,
because considering I know about 80 of them, I can generally figure out which ones I have missed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
The ones I usually forget are ones in like earlier dungeons I have to get as an adult. Which are a major pain in the ass to get.
It's kind of a dick move, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, it's meant to be a side quest.
Yeah. At that point, you're probably close to 50 to where you can get the heart piece, and then if you don't want to complete it, it's no big deal.
Yeah. However, if you do want to go for it, it's the biggest pain in the ass in the world.
And all you get is free money at the point where you already have everything.
You don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I know this game backwards and forwards. I know where all the skipping shit is, like how to get 2 heart. I know how to get 2 heart pieces early.
And I think that's why we're going to be Let's Playing it.
Probably.
No fucking doubt. You're playing the game for the channel.
I mean, I can do the first up to the Master Sword, and really quickly I'd have to make sure I plan my route well through the later dungeons, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I know how to climb the ladder in Kakariko, stand on the edge, and then jump to your side really quick, and you'll land on the gate to get to the heart piece early. Because apparently the guy on the roof is so scripted that you can talk to him as a kid and he'll give you the heart piece.
What?
Even though you're only supposed to be able to talk to him as an adult after you get the hook shot.
I see, okay. I love primitive programming like that.
Well, because it's an N64 game and any object has to have some level of width to it.
Yeah.
Just in terms of how the engine works.
Yeah, you don't play by the rules.
Nope.
You're a loose cannon. Here's a heart piece.
And then backflip off of Goron's tower above the Dongo's cavern and you get a heart piece early.
Well, for stuff like that, I would have liked it if they did something like they did in Metroid Fusion, where, like, by some sort of scripted Shine Spark thing, you can get to navigation room you're not supposed to. So Adam just says, "Good job, Samus, you broke the game. Now go back and do what you're supposed to do."
Well, no, apparently some of those are so well known that Nintendo intentionally kept them there for the 3DS remake.
You couldn't change it without breaking the game.
Well, no, they could have changed it because of obviously better technology.
Yeah,
but like the heart piece skipping stuff, you can still do it in the 3DS because people would be upset if we remove shit. So
okay, that's nice.
It's still my favorite. I think it has much better ambience than A Link to the Past.
Oh, no doubt. But
I also think the story is just a bit more epic.
What's funny
story's
because
barely there. Ganon's evil. Go kill him.
He's a bit more involved this time.
Yeah,
it's a bit more involved, but it's not. And it's a bigger scale. It's just not really any more complex. I mean, Ganon waits till the end to kidnap Zelda. I guess that's really the only difference.
And I beat him with my empty bottle.
What?
Who needs the Master Sword? I have an empty bottle.
Okay, serves up. Okay, and then it looks like Link has a very good forehand against. Oh, it looks like Ganon smashed it over. 15 love Ganon.
Yeah, playing tennis with Ganon, you can actually just use an empty bottle swing, and it'll reflect the ball back to him.
Really?
Yes. Well, because it's programmed to you swing and it bounces back. Normally, your sword is the only thing you can swing with, but nope. With an empty bottle, he actually swings his arm, and it's actually easier to hit him with that.
I gotta try that.
So who needs the Bane of Evil's blade? I have an empty bottle.
I have empty bottle of justice.
I love how valuable bottles are in the Zelda universe. It's like you can't go and ask someone for their empty can.
Nope.
It's
super valuable.
Nope.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, Lewis, you stumbled into our Zelda retrospective.
Say what?
We were talking about Zelda because Ted hates Zelda. So
I do hate Zelda.
Why do you hate Zelda?
Okay,
let's save that for the end because we're in the middle of talking about Ocarina of Time.
We're going through all the Zelda games and by the release date. We've already covered Zelda 1, 2, Link to the Past, the handheld games. Now we're in
Hang on, are we recording right now?
Yes,
we are.
Oh! Well, thanks for letting me know. What parts am I loading up right now, by the way?
Portal 2 Co-op Part 3.
Okay, good.
So, Ocarina of Time, my favorite Zelda game.
Well, for me with Ocarina of Time, I mean, it's the only Zelda game I went out and finished, eventually.
I had to fucking nag you for 4 months.
Yeah, you did.
You were right on Ganon's doorstep.
I had Final Fantasy IV to play, but it's just like...
fucking there. Would have taken you 15 minutes.
Well, no, because for some reason I have to shoot the arrow into the sun at a very specific time of day, so I didn't know, so I didn't have the fire.
You were stupid enough not to do it right when you left the water temple.
Well, okay, I didn't notice it right when I left the water temple. I sort of wandered around a bit, then saw the sign and said, shoot an arrow into the sun. Okay, I shot an arrow into the sun, nothing happens. Huh. Oh well, I guess I'll just go on. I was able to MacGyver my way through some of the fire puzzles with creative use of Din's fire. Like I'd use Din's fire, then immediately shoot an arrow through it in order to get a flame.
Smile and nod, Lewis. Smile and nod.
Well, this is why we started with. This is why we started without you.
The thing about Ocarina of Time is just that, yeah, it's generally structured well. It's a perfectly fine game. It's just there's some things in it that just sort of I just don't like automatic jumping. I don't like automatic jumping.
Well, the reason Miyamoto even actually explained that is because he felt the player did enough jumping in Mario. He wanted the A button to be used for other things.
But it's not Mario, it's Zelda.
It's just like, I don't like having to platform when I can't control myself. I don't feel like I'm in control when
I never really had any problems with it.
Well, you've played Ocarina of Time to death.
I never really thought of Ocarina of Time's platforming as platforming at all in the first place. I just thought of it as exploration.
The way I see it, the way I look at it, the way the level design is set up is so you don't really need to have a manual jump.
Yeah.
You know,
it's more on exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's just, I don't like it. I don't feel like I'm in control when I don't have the ability to jump myself, or when it's only situational. It's like, I'm always just like a little bit too far away from the edge, just because I fear that I'll just move the control stick a little bit too far right or left, and then I'll jump off and have to climb all the way back up.
Well,
I just don't like it.
That gets better in later games.
I guess. It's just like, there are just a few little things like that which just sort of irk me about Ocarina of Time. I mean, it's a perfectly fine game. It's
what
just,
about
again,
the water temple, Ted?
It's not that bad, and you guys are just pussies. I beat
no,
the water...
we know. It's just incredibly tedious.
And it's also easy to make fun of.
Yes.
I mean, like, everybody says how much of a torture chamber the water temple is, and I figured it out on my first...
It's more to harass new people to the game than anything.
Yeah. It's like, are you guys really that dumb?
It's actually, you can actually get through it really quickly if you know where to place Fordor's Wind.
It's just like, it's like, first time through, it took me maybe like an hour and a half, and then I was done. It's like, that really wasn't that bad. I mean, swimming was annoying, but that's about it. So yeah,
that is the one thing that 3DS did better, putting on the iron boots.
So that said, though, I think Ocarina of Time though definitely has its moments. You know, like to this day, I still think the final battle with Ganon is one of the coolest in the series. If only because, you know, of its setting, you know, when he transforms into Ganon, he gets those
it's the first time we see his human form, and
when he becomes
the real
like
transformation of Ganon,
the war pig, and I was like, that's fucking awesome.
It's actually one of the few things I actually like better visually on the N64 version, where it's much darker.
Yeah, you know, I was just about to say that too. The 3DS version definitely lightened up the area with its.
And I kind of dislike that.
Yeah, because I loved it when Ganon was pretty much a silhouette with eyes and two golden swords. With that said, why doesn't Zelda throw you the Master Sword back when it's knocked out of your hands?
Useless bitch.
Don't know. Doesn't matter. Megaton Hammer.
Is it just one of those?
Or if I feel like going for the Big Goron Sword. Big Goron Sword.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the bottle.
The bottle kind of works. It's painfully easy if you have the big Goron sword, because you can swing it just as fast as a normal sword. Just roll under him, whack a sword once he turns around, and just keep doing it.
But like I said earlier, Ocarina of Time requires me to be in the mood to play it from beginning to end. You know, I have to say to myself, okay, this is the game I'm going to dedicate myself for the next few days. And I can't play anything else, because if I do, I'm going to forget about it, and
have an incomplete save file.
That'll be the end of it.
Well, I mean, I can get to the Master Sword in a few hours. The rest I sometimes have to plan ahead for a bit, depending on, because I have to figure out what I want to get, what I don't want to get, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Admittedly, Ocarina of Time is a bit more side quest heavy than A Link to the Past.
Hell yeah.
There's like tons of stuff to do.
Tons of stuff to do in Ocarina of Time.
Save the world, help this lady get all of her chickens back.
But the thing that really seals it for me is it's so well crafted. We'll see in Wind Waker and Twilight Princess that there's a huge overworld just for the sake of having a huge overworld.
Yeah.
Here, conveniently notice how the first 3 dungeons, when you're a kid and don't have any faster transportation, are all on the right side of the map. The one time you need to go to Lake Hylia, you have a conveniently warp point there.
The thing about Ocarina of Time's overworld is just I find it very empty and just not really.
So does Wind Waker. So does Twilight Princess. This is hardly new.
It's not that it's not saying that those overworlds are better. It's just that I think it's sort of unnecessary, especially since it's just like grass. There's barely any enemies unless if it's nighttime, and
well,
even
it was huge at the time, but when you actually think about it, it's not that big.
Oh, dude, you are gonna love Shadow of the Colossus.
It's just like, if I'm not doing anything, why should it even be there?
Hey, guess what,
I guess.
Sonic 06 does that too.
Well, there are things to do if you're going for side quest stuff.
If you're not going remind me of Sonic 06 right now, please.
If you're not going for side quest stuff, yeah, there's nothing to do there.
You know what, though? The one reason why I never really like exploring the Hyrule Field as young Link is that I don't want to come across the fucking Peahat. The Pineapple of Doom.
although kind of ironic that once Ganon takes over, the overworld actually gets safer.
Yeah, I know.
There are no enemies once Ganon in the future.
That thing fucking scared the shit out of me when I first ran into it, because first off, I think it's just part of the scenery, then suddenly it grows helicopter blades and starts chasing me down. It's like, what the fuck am I looking at? And why can't I hurt it?
And I also just think that the fight being in 3D really adds more to dungeon design than being in a 2D space.
Yeah, well, Ocarina of Time just ups the ante on everything.
Yep.
You know,
and then there's
Ocarina
of Time Master Quest. Ooh, boy.
Never played it.
You know, I think
actually,
I think I realized why I just don't like Zelda that much. It's mostly all of the fun stuff. It's like most of the things people like about it are side quests and dungeons, and I'm not really big on either. So
you're looking at the wrong goddamn genre in that case.
Yeah, I think it's like I've always just sort of been like, it's just not my cup of tea, and I've never really been able to explain it, but I just figured it out. The game's all side quests and dungeons, and I don't particularly care for either.
You know what the thing is, though, too, is just that there's one thing I really wish Zelda had that it doesn't. It's story. You know,
well, because
gameplay.
That's Nintendo we're talking about.
Like gameplay-wise, it's fun.
I still think occasionally Zelda has a really good story.
Like everyone plays a Zelda game for its, you know, like you mentioned earlier, for the gameplay and the dungeons. But in terms of the story, it's about as bad as Mario.
No, I wouldn't put it as bad as Mario.
The thing is that I feel like Zelda pretends that it has a story a lot of the time when it...
I still say A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask do a pretty good job of at least getting you interested in the story. Everything after that is kind of eh.
Does Skyward Sword have any sort of a story from the level you guys...
It has a story, but I'm not done with it yet, so I can't really say. It's being obviously a starting point for the entire series timeline-wise.
And because of that, it's full of a lot of one-dimensional characters.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Well, that's not new either.
No, but I think Skyward Sword does it the worst.
No, I still say it does it better than.
Then again, I've only like 4 hours in, so I can't say that for.
I still say it does it better than Twilight Princess, but. And I still say that Zelda with the best story and characters overall is actually still Majora's Mask. Because Nintendo actually put the effort into trying to building an actual town.
I mean, I agree with that too, but I find a lot of the side quests in that game really, really obnoxious.
Well, a lot of them are guide dang-its, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Cafe, I'm looking at you.
That's the guy who turns into a little kid, right?
Yeah.
I hate that side quest.
It's probably the most notorious side quest in the game.
Alright, well, at this point, is there anything else you guys need to say about Ocarina of Time before we move on to the game I really don't give a shit about?
Probably the only game in the Zelda that actually deserves the 10 out of 10. I'm looking at you, IGN.
I give it an
IGN
8.
Oh, no, Ted.
I just like how
IGN, every
an
single...
8 is considered a terrible score nowadays.
Well, yeah, that's how the 3-point scale works. Where have you been, dude?
I think that if we just switched the grading scale to like an A, B, C, D, F, it would be better. But
you know what? That's what Matt
no,
said.
you know what? That wouldn't help. Here's why. I know this is a tangent, but bear with me. Okay, what game magazines and review sites are trying to do is give games poor scores without actually looking like it. So they're not hurting game sales by saying this game is below average. It's kind of like an unspoken...
Again, it's a 3-point scale thing.
Yeah.
Anything below a 7 is for unspeakably god-awful games.
So changing the scale doesn't change anything. It's
Then
just,
C will just be the...
C will just be the unspoken
7.
lowest score ever.
well, the thing is that at least C is in the middle, so it's like C is average. Okay, it's in the middle. That makes sense.
Yeah, but the thing is, you use that for the really bad games.
So there is no average. There is simply good
and shit.
and shit. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I'd give Ocarina of Time an 8. Good, I just can't get into it. So
I'm not gonna rate it because I've dropped the rating system after Sonic Generations.
Well, me too, but it's one of those things that's at least close to a 10 for doing not only being a fantastic game, but changing the way games were actually made. The Z targeting was copied. Even the coding for Z targeting was copied by everyone after Ocarina of Time came out.
Yep.
So, and again, have to sidetracks again to IGN. For fuck's sake, IGN, quit saying every new Zelda Ocarina of Time has met its match. Apparently it hasn't, because every time a new Zelda comes out, you say Ocarina of Time has met its match. Well, if it had, wouldn't you say Twilight Princess has met its match? But no.
Jeez.
Sorry, just a bit of logic fail on their part.
I know. I get your point. Alright, Majora's Mask is up next, right?
Then drowned.
Alright, I don't get what you're saying because I never played
alternate augmented reality game. Haunted Majora's Mask cartridge, and guys made some really creepy videos with it. With using like models and shit.
I was first exposed to Majora's Mask through a WWF advertisement. Because that's when I was into wrestling back then.
How odd.
Yeah, I know. It was really odd. It was like, WWF is sponsoring Majora's Mask? Like, I remember, I think it was the Hardy brothers, Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, I think it was. And, you know, they're doing their, you know, their wrestling stint off the turnbuckle, and then it just goes into a Majora's Mask commercial. It was like, he has 72 hours to save the world. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds pretty grim.
Groundhog Day.
Well, it would be grim if he couldn't just reset the clock every time he felt like he'd done something slightly wrong.
Well, that's the point of the game, is to learn something in the future, go back into the past, and then interact knowing what you don't now.
That's part of a much larger scale.
That's the whole point of it, and that's why I think it really works.
I like think the time limit's a little bit too strict for me, especially when you're trying to do the dungeons on the first try. I mean, like, yeah, you can even slow down the time, but if you don't get it right the first time, you got to do it all over again.
Its save state's gone horribly wrong.
I admit that's a little bit of a problem, but ultimately I think it works for the story, how the game mechanics work, how you're supposed to get into the dungeons, and so on and so forth.
It also just sort of bugs me how side quest heavy the game is, again, because I'm not really too big on
that actually stems from Miyamoto wanting to do more with the townsfolk in Ocarina of Time. But because that game was already way overscheduled and they were packing so much into the cartridge, he wanted to do it more for this game. So that's why I also think that that has the best town, because the people are actually involved in what's going on.
I don't know, like Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I can sort of see that.
Majora's Mask, thanks to the collection I borrowed, I was finally able to get into it, and I just dropped it like an hour into it. 'Cause like you mentioned, like the whole time travel concept. I know it works. I'm not. It didn't pull me in like Ocarina of Time did. It didn't pull me in like.
I agree that the beginning is slow.
It starts off incredibly slow.
Again, I agree it's slow. That is a flaw. I perfectly admit that. But if you can push past that, it gets way better.
Yeah.
To be honest, go ahead.
No, okay. I was gonna say like the only other thing that bothers me about them, is because of the time. Like, even though you have the ability to travel back in time on a whim whenever you want, I hate the whole fact that you only have this certain time. It puts unnecessary pressure on me. I don't want to.
That's the point of the time limit.
Yeah, I know.
The moon is always supposed to be above you, looking down, giving you sense of
I don't want to be pressured in a Zelda game. I want to be able to take my time without having to restart an area.
True.
It's just.
I don't know. I just like it for what it is.
Yeah, I know the game has a major fan base. I know everyone considers it to be like one of the most underrated Zelda games of all time, and I can see its merits. It's just not my thing.
It's a neat little side thing for the Zelda series to me.
It really comes down to your personal preference. I respect Majora's Mask because it does something unique. It does its own thing. I would say it's the game in the series that mixes up the formula the most. I respect it, but at the same time, I guess you could say that if changing the perspective mixes things up.
Anyway, your point.
But my point is, I respect it, and for that I rate it kind of high. But at the same time, I prefer my games to be more straightforward, and
It just sort of frustrates me. I mean, like, again, I definitely see the merits, and I definitely appreciate it for doing something different. Because, like, there wasn't really much difference between Zelda, A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time other than the perspective from 2D to 3D shift. So I appreciate Ocarina of Time doing something drastic. A lot of aspects of it frustrate me, and I can't enjoy it. But, I mean, I see why people like it.
I really enjoyed the game. I also appreciate Nintendo finally doing something really dark for once.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is definitely the darkest in the series.
Yep. 3
Not
days.
just in terms of art style.
Yeah. A lot of creepy shit if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
Little girl getting abducted by aliens.
What is that? Wait, is that dark or comedic?
No, more like when she comes back and she speaks really slowly and acts really confused.
Yeah,
like maybe the
What?
aliens lobotomized her or something. If you fail the alien side quest in the
There's
ranch,
there's aliens.
Yeah. Yes, there is.
that actually is played more for laughs. But then if you fail and she comes back, it gets really dark really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a farm I forget how
They're going after their cows. Yes.
The cows. Yes, the cows. And you know
Again,
what?
that is played more for laughs.
You know what? The first thing I thought about that when I hit that point of the game was the fucking UFO that just randomly flew by in a random battle in Final Fantasy VIII with a cow hovering beneath it. The first time I saw that, I was like, "What?" And when I ran into the aliens in Majora's Mask, I was like, "What?" Exactly the same tone of voice.
Oh, this is the best game ever.
It also probably has the most on-screen deaths for any Nintendo game.
Oh, apart from the ones the player suffers themselves while trying to jump over particularly annoying pitfalls in Mario 2.
Not counting player deaths.
That doesn't count because you come back to life in 3 seconds. In
True.
Majora's Mask, they all come back to life if you take the 10 seconds to play the Song of Time.
Yeah, but then all their problems are back.
Yeah, but at least they're not dead.
Except for the guy who's stealing the bombs, shoots an arrow. you explode.
But that's actually what bugs me about Majora's Mask, is that when you go back in time, all the side quests are reset. So you essentially, if you want to, for completion's sake, you have to do like all of that shit in one go through the timeline.
And not even then, you can't save everybody.
No, it's impossible to. There's
impossible
too much.
to save everybody. Someone's gonna fucking die.
Which makes you feel like a real dick when you decide to go save this person instead of that person, even though you know that person's screwed.
Well, I think that's why it works for the story, because ultimately your goal is to save the world. You're not, God. You can't fix everyone's problem.
So in other words, it's like the most mature Nintendo game ever.
Yeah.
I like that aspect, but then in some cases you have to do 2 entire side quests twice in order to do stuff like the Cafe side quest. You have to do it twice in order to get to other things like the postman's hat and then something that his mom gives you or something like that. And it's like, I don't want to have to do all that twice.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that bugs me about it.
I appreciate it for what it is. Also, thank God it's not fucking Ganon for once.
Well, he's sort of dead at that point.
Well,
technically no, because you're young Link, so he hasn't been killed yet.
Well, here's the thing about Ganon: you never know whether or not he's actually going to be alive at the end of the game until you get to the end of the game. The credits roll, and you find out whether or not you fought him at that point. All right? Do we all remember Twilight Princess?
Hijacked by Ganon. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Majora's Mask.
Again, I can't say much because I've never gotten more than an hour into it, so...
What you need to do, Johnny, is push through the first hour or so, put it down, and then go do something else, and then come back to
I
it.
now own the game. Again, there's this vintage store like a few blocks from my house, and he had the gold cart, and he also had the expansion pack, which I know you need Majora's Mask. You need to run Majora's Mask, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's one of the,
I got both of those at the same time. So yes, I do have Majora's Mask up and ready to go for the N64. I just need to, get into it.
What I would recommend you do, Johnny, is push through the intro to where the game really starts. Stop, go do something else, and then come back when you feel the itch, so you don't have to do it again.
I thought I did that already, but
well, I don't know what you were doing with it, so
I'll give it one more shot. Who knows? Maybe I'm just, you're probably right. I just need to give it more time. I just hate when a game has a very slow beginning. It just
me too.
It kills the mood, I find.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with Majora's Mask is that it needs more time to build because you have a lot of new concepts.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time for another Zelda game that I got into just on a whim because
Zelda.
Actually, initially I got this game because I fell in love with its art style.
I mean, I love the art style now, but
I love this. I love this.
I prefer this art style to the
Wind
traditional.
Waker. Wind Waker, are we talking about now?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the art style. Because on the one hand, it's like a 3D version of the sprite style that they used to use all the time. On the other hand, something about it just seems too cartoony to me. Like, if I'm gonna swing it, yeah, but if I want to play a game where I'm swinging a sword, I kind of like to be able to see the cool factor that comes with swinging a sword, and Wind Waker just can't do that. It's just out of its element.
Well, I like Wind Waker's art style for a few reasons. One, it's definitely going to age a lot better than, like, Ocarina of Time did, just because that sort of cel-shading art style.
Well, Ocarina of Time has a problem with being an N64 game. It was going to age bad visually regardless of what style it went with.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's definitely going to look better later, as opposed to other GameCube games that tried to do something more realistic.
Well, to support that point, even now, it hasn't been that many years since Twilight Princess came out, but I can look at Wind Waker, and it looks a lot less ugly to me than Twilight Princess does.
Was pretty ugly when it came out.
Even though, well, I'm going to disagree with you on that point, because when Twilight Princess came out, I really liked its graphics. Not so much anymore.
We'll get to Twilight.
Yeah, right. We'll wait until we get to Twilight Princess for that. Wind Waker, though, on the other hand, did everything right to me in terms of like an opening. Like, it starts out kind of I wouldn't say slow. It's definitely not as slow as Majora's Mask.
Not as slow as Majora's Mask, but I still say it's a little too slow for my liking. Because you have to
but
do
it doesn't
that really
take,
long stealth mission at first.
It doesn't take very... Oh, I hated that. That's actually my worst part of the game.
No, my second worst to a certain fetch quest later. But.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I just remembered that. Okay, it's my second worst. Even then, though, that's like the only time in the game that barrel... Like, you're talking about the one where you're in the barrel, right?
Yeah.
And you have to sneak through everything.
Solidly.
Yeah.
Link! Link!
But, you know, that's like one of the only times in the game that happens, you know. So, yeah, it does have its unnecessary points in the game where I'm pretty sure I can just stand on the barrel side and roll down my way. I'm pretty sure the Moblins wouldn't notice. But Wind Waker just compelled me. You know, one thing first off, I think Wind Waker has the absolute worst hub world ever in any Zelda game.
Yeah, too fucking big.
Yeah.
I think it's a love it or hate it for most people. It's like you either love the ocean or you hate the ocean.
Most people dislike it because there's nothing to do. Each square has its own one little thing, but that's it.
You know, just about the only thing that you could do to make an ocean interesting in terms of gameplay is to have random giant sea monsters like jump out to try and eat you, which would be totally unfair.
Well, those are in preset squares. They're scripted events. When you get
the ocean, you can tell where the giant squids are by the seagulls.
Yeah.
If they're circling around an area, that's where a giant squid is. But I didn't know that the first time.
Because of course seagulls are just magnetically attracted to giant squids, right?
So I'm playing the game. Suddenly the weather gets really dark, and suddenly there's this giant ass whirlpool. And first off, I'm already kind of hydrophobic in video games to begin with, thanks to Echo the fucking Dolphin. I hate water.
Wait, what?
I hate oceans in video games. I hate any kind of game where you have to go into an ocean to explore.
Why would Echo the Dolphin, the one game on the planet where all of the traditional dangers of water levels are complete fucking non-issues, be the source of your aquaphobia?
Alright, just to go off on this tangent a bit. Alright. I'm actually gonna call him Echo the fucking Dolphin. Echo the fucking Dolphin is one of the first games I ever played on the Genesis next to Sonic. And, you know, like the ocean we know and love, the further you go down, the darker it gets. To the point where it's fucking scary. You don't know what you're gonna run into. And my first ever encounter in the deepest depths in Echo the Dolphin was the fucking octopus, which looked and scared the fucking shit out of me. I hate Echo the Dolphin.
Unagi.
It's already a hard as fuck game, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid. Every game nowadays that has a deep underwater section that I have to go underwater just to find the next objective, I can't fucking stand. Super Mario 64 had Unagi. Mario Sunshine had that fucking eel. I hate where I can't see where I'm going and I don't know what to expect. If I go deep underwater and suddenly I can't see anything and the fucking anglerfish that glows in the dark comes out of nowhere, I'm going to shit my pants because I don't expect it.
On that note, fuck that one level from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I hate it with a passion.
The ocean... You just hate the ocean, Johnny, because the ocean hates you. Isn't that right, Ocean? The ocean says yes.
You want to know something else that happens when you go that deep down into the ocean? The water pressure crushes your skull.
Yeah, but I'm more worried about what's going to attack me in the ocean. When I first encountered the squid in Wind Waker, I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I was like, oh, shit, sudden whirlpool that came out of fucking nowhere, and then suddenly this climatic music picks up, and this giant squid comes out, and it's sucking me in. I was like, what the fuck happened? Am I not supposed to go this area yet? Is this my punishment for being curious? And it's... fuck water. Fuck water in video games. Fuck underwater deep areas. Tomb Raider did it too. There's so many fucking games that done it. I can't fucking stand it. Fuck you, Echo the Dolphin.
Alright, but I think we've covered just about everything of interest there is to that hub world, right?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I can say that I love about Wind Waker is that it makes Link like a character with an actual personality for once. Like Link,
he's not really doing much more than Ocarina of Time, he just has more facial expressions.
But I mean, I like that.
Handle it.
I mean, like, Link in Ocarina of Time and before, I mean, he's just sort of standing there. In cutscenes, you might see him shocked, but that's about it as far as,
Well, that's
like
because his face is just 2D images plastered onto a model.
Yeah, but
But still, in the case of Wind Waker, because of the cel-shaded approach and because of just better technology, Link is definitely more expressive than ever. And because of that, I completely agree with Ted in this point. This is one of my favorite incarnations of Link. Because, well, first off, he's the fucking butt monkey throughout the entire game, thanks to the pirates and shit like that. All that shit, you know, being blasted out of a cannon while in a barrel. His expressions are just gold. You know, and I don't think any other Zelda game after that gets as expressive as that. Like Twilight Princess, yeah, his face is more detailed.
I don't think any other Zelda game after that gets as expressive. Yeah, all one of them.
Well, and then again,
two of them now, as of a week ago.
I haven't played Skyward Sword enough to know, but
he doesn't.
It's just this Link makes me laugh. Just from his expressive, I don't get that from any other Link in the series.
It basically does what a silent protagonist is intended to do.
Yeah,
that's my problem with the series as it's gotten older.
Yeah, it's like, at least with Mario, you can tell he's at least enthusiastic about what he's doing.
No one fucking cares about Mario because he has the personality of a cardboard box.
But at least you can tell that he's... You can at least tell that he's happy. It's just, Link's just, before Wind Waker and in Twilight Princess, he's just so blank that I can't connect to him at all. At least in Wind Waker, you can tell what he's thinking to some extent. Meh.
Yeah.
I like Wind Waker because it's a game where Zelda actually fucking does something.
No. She's not even Zelda at that point. She's Tetra the pirate. The second she becomes Zelda, back into the boat in the back room with you until Ganon kidnaps you.
I'm talking more in terms of the final battle.
So she basically does. She basically pulls a Sheik.
A reverse Sheik.
Except she does a little bit more than teaching you songs every so often.
Kinda.
For the record, Sheik is the worst music teacher ever. Just gotta get that off there. I mean, she teaches you Ocarina songs by playing a harp. I mean,
this is essentially the Sheik method of teaching you music. Okay, the Professor Snape method of teaching you potions. Instructions on the blackboard. Go and do it.
And I'm not gonna teach you every song at once.
Well, try not to blow up your cauldron.
Well, at least Snape is in the same classroom every time. Whenever I want to learn a new song from Sheik, I gotta go find some giant dungeon or something.
Oh well. To be honest, I haven't actually finished Wind Waker or Majora's Mask.
Ganon shows up, you fight him, the end.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah. Well, that goes without saying. It's like saying Bowser's the final boss of the new Mario game. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. But, as far as the later dungeons go, I don't really have much insight. Are they any good?
They're pretty good. I much prefer the Wind Temple to the... What is it, the Earth? I can't remember what it's called.
It's been a while since I last played Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Elemental temples in a Zelda game. That's almost as surprising as Ganon being the final boss.
I mean, the Wind one just has a bit more depth to it. I find the Earth one a bit too drab to look at, even with its art style. It's just kind of dull. Like, ultimately, my biggest problems with Wind Waker are just doing stuff. It takes way too long because the world is way too big.
Yeah.
And ultimately... how do I put this into words? There's just too much unnecessary padding in it. So
that has to do with the overworld being so fucking huge.
Yeah, but also you have to do other things. Like you have to go find that bird kid. You have to do the stealth mission and that fucking god awful fetch quest right before you can go to the final boss.
You're tapping into our inner
fetch quests.
You're tapping into our inner Zelda 1. We have to find 8 pieces of the Triforce again. It's the Triforce of Courage this time, though, instead of Triforce of Wisdom.
But not only do you have to go all over the world to try to find these fuckers, you have to rescue Tingle of all people, pay him absurd amounts of money to make the fucking mask. Even if you know where they are, they don't activate until you pay Tingle. And then go out and get them.
Yeah, I think that's...
And then you have to wander around aimlessly. It is like Zelda 1.
I mean, no, the thing is, but the thing is pain in the ass is that even if you know where all the Triforce pieces are in your second or third playthroughs, you still have to pay the fucker in order for its location to load up on the map. It's just, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to grind unnecessarily for rupees just to pay this.
Hey, Tingle, how about this? The world is going to die if you don't do this for me.
I have a sword. Fuck you.
No, well, Tingle can float on a balloon.
And that's the reason why his DS game stayed in fucking Japan. We didn't fucking want it.
DS's Twinkie-colored Rose Rupee Land.
Where everyone is gay, apparently.
Oh yeah, that mini
that fetch quest at the end.
I know, because even when you use the Game Boy Advance adapter, you know, where you can have Tingle
help you out or whatever.
Help you, it's like, it's not fucking worth it. It's not. It was
not worth having Tingle in the game for.
No, it's Tingle in Skyward Sword.
He has a doll cameo in Zelda's room, but that's it.
It was just. It's the one part of the game I never look forward to. You know, it's actually very similar to me looking
relics in Metroid.
The relics in Metroid Prime and Prime 2. It's just like a section of the game.
It's an utterly pointless fetch quest that does nothing to the game, other than drag it to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just why I think Wind Waker is ultimately worse than Ocarina of Time. There's just way too much padding and unnecessary bullshit in it. It's still a good game. It has grown on me over the years. If you took out the fetch quests and a few of the padding elements, I think it would still be really good.
If we could only somehow get a jet booster for the boat,
yeah,
I think it would have been
or the ability to warp to any square you want.
Well, any square. Well, yeah, there is a warp
island.
There are some warp points, but not enough of them. And having to change the wind is always tedious.
Yeah, that too.
Next up is Twilight Princess, yes?
Yep.
Oh, Twilight Princess. I remember when the first conceptual artwork for this game was revealed back in 2000 and...
the first trailer at E3 2004. Oh, a lot of cheers were had for that.
Yeah, we get to play as adult Link again. Huzzah!
and it's like, finally, horseback combat. Realistic style again, an actual system that supposedly should be able to handle it. And of course I played the Ocarina of Time trailer music, fully orchestrated for it.
Well, before we get into it, I want to set my perspective on this game straight. I actually played Twilight Princess before Ocarina of Time, which is why my initial impression of it was so favorable. Since then, I have played Ocarina of Time, and it's a little too similar to Ocarina of Time for my liking, so it's dropped down a few pegs on my list, as it were.
That's one of my main complaints of it, yes. What's that? The first dungeon is inside of a tree. What's that? The second dungeon is inside the Goron Mines. What's that? The third dungeon has water where it raises and lowers based on how you flip things.
What's that? The main protagonist is Link.
What's that? He works on a farm.
My only real problem with it when I first played it was that the opening was really fucking slow.
It's like, takes forever, and then you get turned into a wolf, then you have to do not one, but 3 fetch quests for the same damn bugs.
Yeah.
To this day, Twilight Princess, actually, the first ever time I played Twilight Princess was on the GameCube. I bought the GameCube version before I bought the Nintendo Wii version.
I had the Wii version.
The GameCube version is the definitive version. The Wii version is just the GameCube version mirrored for some oddball reason, and with tacked-on Wii controls. The only good thing about playing the Wii version is that you can aim the bow and arrow a lot better.
I don't get why they had to mirror the Wii version.
I don't know why either. It's fucking disorienting when you go from one version to the next.
Because most people are right-handed, so they need.
Most people are right-handed, so they needed to make Link right-handed. So instead of just swapping the model, they swapped the dungeon, everything.
Why though? Why can't you just make Link right-handed? I don't think that
because
would really...
going in to find his model and animations and putting the mirrors on that is much harder than actually just putting mirror tags at the end of each.
Hey, why do they need to change whether Link is right or left-handed? All you do is swing the remote randomly.
It's for orientation.
Really? Why does that matter? All you have to do is shake the remote and he swings his sword normally.
I'm just surprised they swapped the entire fucking game instead of just Link.
Yeah.
But,
cool, because I'm used to seeing Death Mountain on the right side.
I'm actually surprised the text wasn't backwards.
Yeah.
I don't really consider Twilight Princess to be a Wii game, because it's obviously a game that was developed for the GameCube, that got ported to the Wii because the Wii just happened to come out while it was being developed.
And the Wii needed a fucking launch title for it.
Yeah. Wasn't there a lot of... Wasn't there a lot of shit that got cut out of Twilight Princess because of the launch title thing?
No, it got delayed for 2.5 fucking years.
Yeah, and a lot of shit got cut out anyway.
Well, that's how Zelda games always go.
I think that if they just focused on it being a GameCube game as opposed to trying to make it a Wii game, they could have had it.
I mean, ultimately, it's just kind of pointless. Ultimately, it's just kind of pointless considering the Wii can play GameCube games.
Yeah, which is why I never really bothered with the Wii version once I figured out the difference between the two. Honestly, I think the gameplay is better with a GameCube controller. In terms of gameplay, I did like the wolf gimmick.
I didn't. I think it controls way too stiffly and the combat is gimped.
Yes, as I played it, I came up with the same complaints. I did like it a bit more than I did at the beginning. Once I had the option to change from wolf to human at will, and I absolutely love Midna as a character. By the way,
Midna is the only reason to play the game.
Yeah, I would say I fucking love Midna. Everything about her I just love. It's definitely that spice the game needed. Because at this point, you had Navi, who, well, it's not
nobody like.
Hey, listen.
I don't know. Like Majora's Mask didn't have anything
tattle
like,
which is essentially Navi again.
Just a lot less annoying.
Wind Waker had the Red Lion and Tetra, but never
fucking Harkinian.
But never have they ever jabbed at Link for anything. Midna is a fucking smartass. She's an outright bitch at times. But I love her because of that. Because I think that's what Zelda needed.
Yeah.
Well, it especially helps because Link is a silent protagonist, as usual, and he's not as expressive as he was in Wind Waker, either.
So you need someone to shove words in his mouth to drag him along.
Yeah, so Midna is essentially the Daxter of the game, only,
Or the Kronos party.
Yeah, I suppose you could say. Yeah, Link just needs someone to do his talking for him, which really makes me wonder why Nintendo insists on keeping him as a silent protagonist. But
yeah, ultimately that's part of the problem with the Zelda franchise. It's just one of those things where we have voice acting in every game now. Putting text on the screen in the bubble just doesn't work anymore. You really need to bite the bullet and get voice acting in for the NPCs. And since, let's be honest here, Link is supposed to be his own character. I know they keep saying, oh, he's like the player protagonist. It's like, no, he's not. He's his own character. Let him talk.
He's his own 26 different characters by now.
Well, yes, but it's like, just bite the bullet and let him talk.
Or if at least they're afraid of letting Link have spoken dialogue. I mean, I can understand that.
You can still have him be silent, but
I mean, at least give the NPCs voice acting.
At this point, I think they're just keeping him as a silent protagonist because they know half of their fan base would bitch at them if they broke tradition.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Exactly.
We went through the entire thing without saying that once. Wow.
There is one thing about there is one thing about Twilight Princess that I love to this day, and that I can't say about any of the other Zelda games so far, and that is the epic feeling of the whole thing.
Like Wind Waker, I think the overworld's a bit too big for its own good.
I think it's
there's more to it.
There's more.
I think Twilight Princess is a better world than Wind Waker.
Yes, but I will give it that it's a bit too big. I didn't think that that problem really really dragged the game down the way it did in Wind Waker.
It doesn't drag it down too much, but it's still a problem.
But at the same time, the atmosphere is really epic. I will
still
say,
prefer Ocarina of Time's atmosphere a bit more.
I will say, I think that the art style could have done with a little bit less darkness. Ooh.
So much brown.
My God!
It's like Nintendo took one look at it, one FPS made by America. It's like, oh, so that's how realistics are good. Dark shadows and a lot of brown.
It's like, you go from Wind Waker, which is so expressive, and then you jump to Twilight Princess, which is just so brown. I mean, I'd be happy with the realistic
style. I don't think brown is the right word. I would say just dark.
Not even dark, I would say dusty.
It's like, even when you're in like a greener area of the world, or a more colorful area of the world, the entire art style is very subdued with its colors. and you know, I get what they were trying to go for, and sometimes the environments actually do work really well for that style. But I don't think the GameCube or early Wii were really up
capable
to par for what they were trying.
Well, I wouldn't say that much. I still
so
say
a lot of the time it just comes out looking drab.
No, I wouldn't completely say that. I agree. Part of it is that the GameCube/Wii can't quite handle it. But then I also point to Resident Evil 4, which came out 2 years later, and how much better that looks.
Well, that wasn't trying to be quite as wide open, so it could do more with its graphics.
You could do more with what little space it had.
Yes. I mean, the more confined a game is, the more detailed.
Yeah, but then I point to the same problems with Skyward Sword visually, but we'll get to that when we jump to it.
Well, I like, from what I've seen, I think Skyward Sword has a cool visual style.
You haven't played it.
I haven't played it, yeah, but I mean, like, from what I've seen, it looks pretty okay.
Well, it looks better than Twilight Princess, but that's not saying much.
Saying a whole lot. I did find the obligatory wolf sections in the first half of the game to be really annoying. Because
they're doing the same damn thing each time. Hunt for bugs.
And then they all wound up feeling like they dragged out by the end of it.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I just couldn't enjoy were the side characters. I did not care about the farm girl or the stupid little kids. Especially that creepy ass fucking baby.
I like the guy who shot me out of a cannon, but that's about it.
Yeah. It's like everyone else is just like, I don't fucking care about you. You're not interesting in any way.
Yeah, I did have a certain sentimental attachment to the characters in the hometown you start out in, but that was more because it was the hometown. It had nothing to do with the characters themselves.
But the mercenaries.
Don't fucking care. They were barely there.
Well, I did like the chick with the bazooka.
Am I the only one who thought that half of the special sword moves that you learn through the game were just completely fucking pointless?
Yep.
I don't recall using a lot of them, so
I just used the backslice thing.
Well, there were like some larger enemies that required you to use certain moves against them, but that's pretty much all I ever did with them.
Me too.
And
then of course we have Zant, who was built up the entire game to be the final boss and the mastermind behind this. You finally beat him. Nope, hijacked by Ganon.
Why? Why is Nintendo? I mean, it's not like Nintendo has gone away.
Well, to be perfectly honest, Twilight Princess is the only really egregious example of it.
No, but I mean,
it was Chuck Testa before Chuck Testa.
No, didn't.
The thing is that it's like, in Majora's Mask, Ganon wasn't the final boss, so it's like they've done it before. It's not like Bowser, where it's just like he's always the final boss, that's just how it is. It's like, they've always tried to sort of come up with some convoluted way to get Ganon back, like resurrect him or whatever. Does he really need to be there? Is he really that important?
Yeah, he really serves no purpose in this game, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's oh my god plot twist, I think.
I mean, having him in the cutscene to explain how the Twilight Realm works is fine, because you find out a bit about him, but...
But if you're gonna do that, you just... Okay, if you mention Ganondorf, I'm guessing he's gonna be in this game, isn't he? Oh, I was right!
That just shows out of fucking nowhere, surprise final boss.
But, you know what, I think...
Actually,
I was gonna say, I think A Link to the Past was almost as bad, actually. Because we do get backstory on Ganondorf and Ganon, but the villain of the majority of the game is Aghanim.
Well, you're told early on Aghanim is trying to revive Ganon.
Yeah.
So there's some build-up to it.
But you beat him and then Ganon's revived anyway.
Yeah. But it's worse than Twilight Princess, because there's no mention of Ganondorf having anything to do with this plan.
Yeah, but then, like... Oh, feedback.
Okay. I think it's
but then, like,
now.
you know, if they go with that revive Ganon plotline and Ganon doesn't actually show up as a boss in the game, you know, people are gonna bitch about it, like they did with Link 2.
I don't see what merits the bitching, though. Your plan is to stop him from being revived. You're finished. You succeeded.
Well, what can you say? People love having spectacular final battles. So much to the point where if there's no final battle at the end of a book or a video game, and it's done well, it still sucks because there was no final battle. I'm thinking simultaneously of Fable 2 and
well, the thing is, we had a final
and
battle
Harry
with...
Potter. Oddly enough.
Well, the thing is, we had a final battle with Zant. It's just that the second you beat him, oh god, oh my Twilight God, why didn't I win? Nope, hijacked by Ganon.
I'm suddenly thinking of Final Fantasy IX at this point.
Oh yeah, Necron came out of fucking nowhere, but there's a difference there. All right. Literally, Necron came out of fucking nowhere. He comes out of nowhere, throws a few Star Wars quotes at you, he gets killed, and throws a few Zeromus quotes at you. And then that's it. At least I think there's Zeromus quotes.
Well, that's fitting, because Zeromus also came out of fucking nowhere.
Well, kinda, sort of. There was a Zemus for about 5 minutes beforehand.
No, but steering it back a little bit, ultimately I just think Twilight Princess was... If Wind Waker was a few missteps short of being a really fantastic game, Twilight Princess is a few big steps back from Ocarina of Time.
Well, this is it's going into an issue that I have with the later series as a whole. We'll wait until we get into Skyward Sword, or after Skyward Sword, I should say. Because there are plenty of things now I think Nintendo needs to fucking move from. Because first off, I might as well just say this now: Z targeting isn't cool anymore. It's not.
It works for combat, but that's about it.
But to me, there's so many other combat games nowadays that do so well without Z targeting, and it's all because Link is not as mobile as any of them. He's a fucking tank when it comes to sword playing. You know,
yeah, I agree.
You lock onto an enemy. You can only strafe very slowly, back, forth, left, and right. You attack, hope for the best. You can do a jump slash, backflip, that's it, but you're still moving like a fucking tank.
I agree they could update Link a bit more.
I think the Z targeting should stay. I just think they should improve the control while you're using it. you know?
I think the problem with Z targeting is that it makes a lot of the enemies feel like you're fighting them the exact same way, if that makes any sense. Like, especially in Ocarina of Time, I find that there's not a lot of difference between fighting most of the enemies. It just feels very repetitive, and the combat at that point seems sort of pointless. And I feel like if they just...
So, we're
coming right off of the only one type of horizontal swing sort of thing from the 2D games, so...
Yeah. Well, I can understand that.
It's a bit more involved, but ultimately
not
what
much.
strikes you do don't really matter much.
You know, I look at games like God of War, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and it's so fast paced, free flowing. You can do so many things with those characters. And I go back to Link, and another character with a sword, and it's so clunky in comparison. And it's 2011 now, going into 2012, and he still pretty much fights exactly how he did in Ocarina of Time, a game that was released in '97.
And ultimately, the production values need to kick up a notch. I bring up the NPCs speaking thing. It's like for the N64, it was fine. Yeah, we had voice acting, but Ocarina of Time was taking up the entire fucking cartridge. There was no room for it.
Yeah.
No, well, in '97, almost no games had voice acting. Very few games did.
It was the beginnings of voice acting, so not having it wasn't a big deal.
Well, to this day though, that's exactly why Resident Evil 2 on the N64 is considered the pinnacle of cramming so much into an N64 cartridge. It kept keeping all the voice acting intact.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
that was an achievement.
Yeah, but again, ultimately back then it wasn't a big deal if you had it, because it was basically a choice whether you wanted to or not. Nowadays, everything has voice acting if you have a lot of characters.
I think that they could have done
Nintendo
it for at
just sitting there, still doing text bubbles, just screams lazy to me. It's like you're the biggest gaming company in Japan. You have the most money. You have the most resources. Why are you not doing stuff everyone else does?
I mean, voice acting with Nintendo's been very shaky.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
because
like
they're not
Sunshine,
Ted, that's because they're not putting effort into it.
Oh, I was just about to say, they should keep on trying.
Yeah, it's like everyone goes through a bit of a period where they're trying to figure out voice acting. Sonic, Capcom, Konami, everyone initially had problems with voice acting.
Resident Evil was a pretty obvious case.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone had to get over that hump. Nintendo just not doing it only delays the problems they're going to have later.
And you're exactly right, because you got to go over the hump, and it's going to be shaky on the way over there. You already, as much as I detest it completely, Metroid Other M's voice acting, I can't, with a few exceptions, mind you, is pretty bad, But at the same time, you need that in order to know what you can improve on. So I don't care if you bring in voice acting for the rest of the Metroid games. I know it won't be as bad as Other M's.
You know what?
As long as they fire the
is,
person who said Samus's voice, they're probably gonna be fine.
You know what the thing about Nintendo is, though? They love playing it safe. They have this massive hard-on for playing it safe.
Yeah.
So,
well, I compare them to your really old conservative grandparents. Well, they can do some really good tricks that, still serve at some level of function, but throw in anything new, technology or otherwise, and it just scares the shit out of them.
I think they've gotten a little bit better, like, if you compare them, like, at the beginning of the GameCube and early Wii era, and, like, now they're better-ish, but still not enough, I find.
Only because they've realized that they can't last very long on just a casual market.
You know what it also is, though? It's the time span between each games. It's not like, it's not like Sonic or
Mega Man?
Mega Man, where there's a new game every fucking year.
Well, not Mega Man anymore, but...
Well, not Mega Man anymore, obviously, but but they have more opportunities to improve on what needs to,
really improve. And they don't take advantage of that.
Yeah. Zelda, like, Nintendo with Zelda games and Mario games, if someone doesn't like something from Ocarina of Time, they're not going to possibly see any improvements until the next Zelda game 5 years from now. So 5 years later,
what do?
You still got the same issues from Ocarina of Time, but if you want to see the improvements you really want for, you got to wait another 5 years for the other Zelda game to come out. Like, I wouldn't be surprised I'd be in my 30s by the time I get a Zelda game that controls really fluently.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that brings us into Skyward Sword.
Well,
it tells me it's going to be me and Johnny talking most of the time.
Well, not even that. I'm again, like I've only said, I'm only a few hours into the game.
I'm entering the third temple right now.
I will say that from like all the pre-release stuff that I've seen, it definitely interested me more than any other Zelda game up to this point has.
I have a question. All right, from the look of all the video footage I have played, it looks like nobody plays this game and actually holds the remote in any kind of way to make it look like they're, carrying their sword naturally. So everyone seems to be playing with Link holding his sword like way up over his head for no reason.
Yeah, that is the case. That is the case. Yes,
that Link always ready.
Wolverine.
I mean, visually, Ted, it looks better than Twilight Princess. But it still looks really stiff.
Yeah, you know what? That's another thing I was going to go into. In my case, I'm playing Skyward Sword on my 47-inch. I'm not exactly sure.
I forget how big my TV is.
47-inch HD TV.
I mean, it's cropped. It's stiff. It's low res.
At this point, because at this point we've had the Xbox 360, the PS3 for about 5-6 years now, and this is just a game that just tells you, wow, the Wii
is really underpowered.
It's colorful, but it's not. It's pixelated. It's just
it's low res.
They're already planning another Zelda game for the Wii U, and I'm just like, really, already?
Well, they always do that.
I have a question.
I know that, but still.
I have a question. How much of the graphics are genuinely better, and how much of it is just the switch to cell shading, making it look slightly?
The character animations are a bit better. So ultimately, the movement is a bit smoother than Twilight Princess, but then you come across a tree where the branches are 2D objects and the leaves are 2D little squares plastered on the tree, and it just looks awful.
Would you say it's better than Wind Waker? Because
in terms of what they put on screen, yes. In terms of art style and how it's
in terms of the direction, like they're still going for like that kind of Twilight Princess look. Only they're obviously going for more colors this time. I think it looks better than Twilight Princess, yes. But it's still I'm spoiled. I have to say,
it's still blocky. It's still blocky. It's still low res.
When I see games like I see games from the 360, the PS2 that wouldn't really dazzle me, like Resident Evil 5, all that stuff like that.
God of War 3 and shit like that. It's
I'm spoiled. I go back to the Wii and I see Skyward Sword and I was like, oh, I cannot wait for the Wii U. It's like they really need to, it's about fucking time they upping up the horsepower on their systems. It's time for the graphical update, guys.
Alright, well, getting past that point, because it's kind of like beating a thrice dead horse at this point in time.
Oh, that horse is nothing but a skeleton now, my friend.
No, the bones have been turned to dust.
And now we must sniff the bone dust. No,
Can we start beating the ghost instead?
We'll have to get a specially magically enchanted bat to beat it with.
We just need a bottle.
Alright,
what were you saying, Lewis?
Getting past that point, by Wii standards, is it especially good in any way?
I wouldn't say especially good.
No, I think it's one of the better looking.
It's one of the better looking Wii games. I still think Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 look better.
True. To me, I don't think it gets any better than Galaxy 2, and Brawl. But
yeah, but at the same time,
I mean, you look at it and it's just
the same. It's the same. It's the same as the comparison between Resident Evil 4 and Twilight Princess, though, in the sense that neither the Mario Galaxy games and Brawl never had as much going on in terms of size.
Well, I can say Galaxy
that's still not really an excuse, because we're in an age where space really isn't much of an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is if you're going for something really big.
Well,
in terms of visuals,
comes down to console power. What I'm talking about here. So if we were on a higher powered system, we could probably pull off the.
At the same time, though, I don't think they put all the graphical oomph into Skyward Sword because
again, you look at the trees and it's like, and the vines Link climbs on. There's still 2D objects plastered on the wall. It's like, come on, guys, this wasn't impressive on the N64.
Yeah, but I'm more just talking about.
Maybe he thought the pixelation would bring up feelings of nostalgia from all us old school babies.
No, you're looking at the older games from the Wii. To this day, Mario Galaxy for a Wii title, I thought looked so fucking amazing. Especially with the cutscenes, like the opening cutscene where Bowser's raiding the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff like that. To me, that's still one of the best graphical outputs the Wii can offer. And I think Skyward Sword obviously just doesn't reach that quality. It's a bigger game overall. Yes, there's so much more to do. But in terms of looks, I think Galaxy and Galaxy 2 are just much better.
Well, I think that it's also a difference between art style. Like, Mario is very simplistic, but that means that they can make all of those simplistic stuff look good. I mean, even though I can tell that Skyward Sword isn't as realistic as Twilight Princess is, that it's still more detailed than Mario, I guess. So
as a rule, when the lower powered a console is, the more cartoony your graphics are, the better they will look.
Yeah.
That has been the case since the PS2 days, the PS1 days.
Yeah, I suppose. And then let's get into story a bit, I guess. Ultimately, at least it's more original, and that's not saving Zelda from Ganon.
But you're still saving Zelda from someone.
Well, no,
it might as well be Ganon.
You're actually following Zelda because she's actually ahead of you on the quest.
Huh.
She's not kidnapped yet, anyway. At least as far as I am.
Well, if she ends up being kidnapped, then I'm going to have Paper Mario 2 flashbacks where you think that Peach might not be captured for maybe a chapter, and then, nope, she's just been kidnapped by someone other than Bowser. Oh, joy.
Fucking airhead. But,
It is a bit contradictory by talking about only one goddess instead of the three we know. Then again, I'm not sure if the Triforce has even been made yet, as far as timeline goes. So we'll have to see.
Again, I can't say much because I'm only a few hours in, so I don't know.
Well, probably the only other character you've gotten to know besides Zelda is a certain character pulled straight out of Back to the Future.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the storyline. I haven't spoiled the storyline for myself at all, which is actually really amazing in my case because I usually spoil stories rotten for me.
Yep.
I jumped the gun on the Sonic Generations level list and shit like that. But in terms of Zelda games, I don't want to spoil the story for myself.
Spoiler alert: Snape killed Dumbledore. Spoiler alert: Snape killed Dumbledore on Dumbledore's orders.
Rosebud is the sled. Luke is Darth Vader's father.
You said that again.
I did that one on purpose that time,
though. Anyway.
Obviously, the only other character at your point, Johnny, is a certain character pulled straight from Back to the Future.
Dude, I hate that fucker so much. He
Who is this?
It's
Biff.
It's Biff. There you go. Yeah, I don't even know his fucking name, but I hate him because he is so one-dimensional. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, are we actually gonna waste time on this asshole?
He might as well be wearing a Back to the Future DVD case on his head.
Yeah,
basically.
I hate him so much. I was like, you know, there's characters right up there on my list of characters that I fucking hate with passion. Right up there with the Commander from Shadow the Hedgehog. It's this fucker right here. It's like, God, really? Like, fuck off. Stop wasting my time.
It's like we're doing the bully thing, really.
Why?
And then of course he does the whole he's pining for Zelda thing, and Zelda, he does the little and then he does the little pose thing with this idiot posse, friends, and it's like, are we going to start a musical number here? It's like, no one fights like Grustan, no one fights like Grustan, no one bullies green tight wearing elves like Grustan.
Why am I getting Ginyu Force flashbacks here? Am I thinking...
He has a stupid little pose he does before he jumps off onto his bird.
Huh. Interesting. Anyway, the one question I really want to answer is, what is the sword mechanic like?
It works in that it picks up what you're trying to do with the sword. But the game requires you to be way too fast and precise at the same time.
Yeah.
For what it can.
Your arm's gonna get sore when you.
Your arm's gonna get sore, and you're gonna fuck up a lot.
That too. You know what? With that said, though, even though I've gotten used to it, fuck the bird riding mechanics. I fucking hate it, that race so much. I don't know. I just I've gotten used to the controls by now. I don't like how I have to flap my wings.
Oh, that answers my question. Yeah. I was about to ask, is it another one of those fucking annoying LOL gimmick Wii remote thingamafuckers?
I want to control the bird. I don't want to be the bird.
I mean, ultimately, just a sword is. Enemies are, they say, enemies are more puzzles like themselves. Again, it just takes too fucking long to kill anything with this. It's like the goblins, hold it to the right. Well, my arm's to the right because I was trying to hit them. Now I'd better move my arm to the right, to the left. Oh, that counted as a sword swing. He blocks it. I'm stunned. It's just, ultimately I'm not going to blame Nintendo for this, because this is what we asked for.
Yeah.
We complained about the Wii version of Twilight Princess, saying that
like I said, I'm not blaming Nintendo so much for this because it is what we asked for. It's not going to stop me from criticizing what's wrong with it.
Twilight Princess was pointless waggle. This actually has a purpose.
Well executed.
No, it's well executed, but the game requires you to be way too fast yet precise for what it can do.
So you mean like actually swinging a sword?
So what you're saying? So what you're saying is it's well executed, but it's badly executed at the same time.
It'd be better executed if the game gave you a bit more leeway in what you were trying to do.
That is like
it's the problem with motion controls. It can pick up what you're doing just fine. It just can't tell what your intent is.
Okay.
Like to me, like one of the more finicky things is stabbing. There are times where I'll do a stabbing motion, but the Link acts like I'm swinging diagonally instead. Because my arm does kind of go upwards when I'm doing the stabbing motion, but I can't help that.
I think would have helped that helped the whole the thing where the remote has trouble picking up exactly what your intention is like if they had a button that you could hold that's telling you I am swinging my sword now, and a button that you could let go of that's telling the game, I don't want to swing my sword now. Don't do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I do like some of the Wii Motion Plus gimmicks they play. Like, first off, although I find it tacky, but everyone loves it too, especially Matt, is the moment they have you pull out your first sword.
Yeah.
You have to hold the Wiimote like the hilt.
Down, and then pull it out.
And you have to pull it up. I found it tacky, but it was still... That was pretty cool. And I'm not sure. The one thing I'm not a fan of is the attack where you have to hold your sword skyward.
Well, because it can't fucking tell.
Yeah,
exactly.
you have to be precise in order for your sword to start charging.
And you can't fucking tell exactly where that is, because you can hold it straight up, it does nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, if I pulled it a bit more diagonal, now it activates for whatever reason.
Huh. Is that what kind of attack is this that we're talking about here?
You hold it up, you absorb some light, and when you swing your sword down, he shoots a little
projectile.
beam. Yeah.
Oh, so it's the sword that shoots laser beams.
Sort of.
Sort of, but you have to hold the sword up in order to charge the sword up. But the exact position is always unclear, because he said before, you can hold your sword straight up into the air, nothing happens, until you decide to slightly tilt it maybe left or right, and then suddenly you're locked into place, and your sword starts charging up for you to swing downward. It's annoying. And again, I've only played the first few hours into it. I'm not sure if there's an upgrade you can get to make it a little more lenient, but my point is, it should have been like that from the fucking beginning.
I think it might just be like something that you guys aren't used to it yet. It might just be like a learning
I'm on the third
thing.
dungeon. I'm still having the same problems.
Yeah, I'm not playing this game standing up either. I'm sitting on my ass.
No, it's like, oh, maybe it'll work better standing up. It's like, fuck no, I'm playing a video game to sit on a couch and enjoy myself.
Yeah, gotta introduce you to Yahtzee sometime.
You know what I should do, actually, now that I think about it? I do have a replica Master Sword. I should tape the Wiimote to the sword itself. Maybe it'll help. I don't know.
Don't they already have, like, fucking, like, sword attachments for the Wii remote?
No, just like
$19.99.
Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, I obviously haven't beaten the game. From what I've heard about how long it is after I beat this dungeon, I'm pretty much at the halfway point. So ultimately, it's better than Twilight Princess, I'll say that much.
I'm probably gonna wait until the beginning of next year, because I'm already jam-packed with so many things for this fucking month. I don't have any time to do anything. Besides,
I mean, my only real complaint is that the first two dungeons are really pretty short and straightforward. I think that's because they're putting more effort into putting puzzles in the environments before you even get into the dungeons. So I don't know how they're going to do the later dungeons, but it does get kind of annoying when you're trying to get to where you want to go. And like Twilight Princess, it has way too many fucking fetch quests.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
It's like, find the 3 key keys, find the 5 pieces to the temple key.
Find the 128 power stars. Don't know where those extra 8 ones came from.
It's just like...
You can't win.
I don't think so. So far, I think it's better than Twilight Princess, but not as good as Wind Waker.
Oh, wait, do they have like fucking golden bugmathuckers that you have to hunt down 100 of?
No, you can catch bugs and you can give them to the potions maker to upgrade your potions.
How did you know about their conceptual names?
So there are still bugs you can catch, but they're optional.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well,
they were optional in the first one, but
so were the golden things in Ocarina of Time. That's what I was talking about. The optional MacGuffin thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know.
Now what?
Well, there's not much else we can say because we haven't really we're not so much affiliated with the handheld games.
Well, we could talk about the little Wii U demonstration.
I get people telling me all the time, "Have you ever played Link's Awakening? Have you ever played Link's Awakening? Have you ever played Link's Awakening?" No, and no.
I like Link's Awakening. It's pretty fun.
I don't know. It's just like I can't play it I can't play a Zelda on a handheld.
Then play it on an emulator.
No, but that's even worse. I just like I don't know. It's just how I work. You know, the only exception is the Ocarina of Time remake on the 3DS. I can get into it because I played the game before. I know what to expect.
Well, that's pretty much because the 3DS is essentially a console in and of itself. With its 3-hour battery life and the fact that you have to hold it straight in front of you in order to get the 3D to work.
But
I have
3D
many sentimental attachments to Link's Awakening. It was pretty much the only Zelda game I had ever played before Twilight Princess. I wasted many hours at school playing that on my Game Boy.
Well, I guess the only real thing we can talk about is the Wii U tech demo, which is the only real game shown for it.
I haven't
So
seen
what about Link's crossbow training?
Oh,
I like Link's crossbow training.
fuck.
It's my favorite Zelda game.
oh, fuck that
It's so much
bullshit.
fun to use. It's like the only good thing the Wii Zapper's for, and it's like shoot, 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 shoot. This is awesome. I love Link's crossbow
Well, you
training.
see, the thing about the thing about Link's crossbow training is it's just a tech demo for the Wii Zapper in the sense that Wii Sports is a tech demo for the Wii itself.
And the Wii Zapper is just a piece of plastic, so I don't need to see why that needs tech
The Wii
demo.
Zapper is something that they made for shooters on the console. The
Didn't
thing
work.
is, it didn't work. Well, part of the reason it didn't work so well is because some shooters have like button setups that don't work for the Wii Zapper in the first place. For example, Resident Evil 4. You can't use the Wii Zapper for that because of the way the buttons work.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys see the Wii U tech demo with him fighting the giant spider?
Yeah,
To me, that's how Twilight Princess should have looked.
Well, I mean, that's what Twilight Princess did look like. It's just it didn't have the graphical powerhouse of the 360 or PS3.
Well, to really make it look good. It still looked like a pretty bleh game at the time. Well, to me, anyway. Like, all I said is what Twilight Princess should have looked, because the Wii should have at least had some level of HD output to it.
well, back then, HD TV, like, there's a big difference between 2006 and now, especially with how many people had HD TVs. Like, I didn't get my first HDTV in the house until, like,
Well, I
After
didn't say you
all-
had to develop every game for it. I'm just saying having the output option to have it would be
Yes,
nice.
that is there's really no argument against that because the only reason they just there was no reason to not include an HD output option on the Wii's hardware. They don't necessarily have to make the games compatible with it, but making sure that it can put out at least 720.
So it could actually fit your TV would be nice.
Yeah. You know, it's not as if the console even has to have 360 quality graphical power to put out that resolution. Because, you know,
I just want it to fill my screen and not look like crap.
yeah, the pixelation is annoying. And, you know, the larger your television is, the more obvious it becomes.
You know what also it is like, because you can buy like component cables for the Wii, but it makes everything look very jaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, that's mostly because they're not designed for HD, so if you try to make it HD, it ends up looking worse in some circumstances.
Oh, you can get component cables for the PS2 and shit too, but the thing is that doesn't necessarily that doesn't change the resolution. It just enables the system to put out that resolution if it's designed to do so, which it's not in this case.
So again, like Johnny can attest, we're playing Skyward Sword, and it's completely cropped the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
It's
like I have my nice TV, my PlayStation 3 games look fantastic on it. Play the Wii and it's completely pixelated even when it's cropped in low res. It's like, come on, guys.
Tell me, what do you mean it's cropped? How is it cropped?
I mean, like letterboxed.
Yeah,
I know letterbox. I know letterbox is what I mean, but where is it letterboxed?
Top and bottom.
Top and bottom.
Why would it be letterbox top and bottom?
Because it's stupid.
I've never had any of that.
I would
games.
understand if it were letterboxed on the left and right sides, and it were just like
a standard def TV.
A standard def shape. Yes, a square image on a wide screen. But why the top and the bottom? That's fucking retarded.
It's Nintendo.
The only reason a game would ever need to be cropped top and bottom is if you're playing a widescreen image on a standard def TV. Like Resident Evil 4 did that, I think.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 for the original GameCube release, so it's letterboxed. PS2 made a true widescreen.
So, ultimately, I guess, what would you guys want to see in the next Zelda game? Because, you know, it's like Nintendo, they're always working on the next one the instant one comes out.
More freedom of movement in lock-on control would be awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That, too.
A story
One
characters I could give a shit about, first and foremost.
Well, I'm kind of the opposite in that I know Nintendo, they don't care about story ever at all.
Well, no, that's not necessarily the case,
okay,
though.
outside of certain RPGs.
Okay,
outside of certain RPGs.
Here's the thing.
So,
do
you know what I would want to see, though? Like, a game of 20 dungeons. You start off in the first dungeon, you play the dungeon, you beat it, you go to the next one. Just a dungeon game.
Just a dungeon game? We're talking about 101 ways to piss X and Shadow off now?
Yes.
Well, he doesn't like the games to begin with, so who cares about him?
The thing about story in Zelda games, I think as long as Miyamoto is in charge in any capacity, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly, he's the guy who didn't like Rosalina specifically because Rosalina was a good story character.
Yeah, it's like that's my only complaint with Miyamoto as a developer. He makes great games, but god damn it, he should not be in charge of anything story related.
It's like you said one thing that would make Zelda better for me. It's just like, give me a reason to care, and that would help a lot. So that's just what I would
Obviously, there are genres of video games that are better without a story. Zelda, considering its scale, needs a good story.
Zelda is an action-adventure RPG. It needs a story. Back in the day when the genre was simplistic, okay, it could get away with having a simplistic story.
And there are a few good stories in it. Ironically, the one... Go on, sorry.
I was going to say partially because the hardware wasn't really up to telling a more complicated story at the time to begin with. I mean, looking at the original Zelda game, yeah, can't imagine much of a story ever coming from that. But when the genre moves on, well, these days, okay, it's not only, you know, you're not only capable of telling those stories, it's expected of the genre in the first place. Whereas a platforming game like Mario, half the time when you try to attach a story to it, it kind of feels like the story doesn't belong there. Like it's kind of being forced to exist.
Well, I mean, ultimately there are a few decent stories in Zelda. They're not all bad. Ironically, the one I think Miyamoto really had the least to do with, Majora's Mask, probably has the best characters going on about it.
Oh, yes.
And ever since then, he's kind of reeled in the series as far as story goes. And
I just hope, I know, with the Wii U, I hope they start
pushing the graphical horsepower.
Well, that's a given. Yeah. But, in terms of, like, better combat controls and just give me a better story overall. I don't care if Ganon's involved at all. Just make everything in between the beginning and end worth it.
Well, I think part of that is going to be you have to make Hyrule more of a kingdom.
Isn't it already?
It's a kingdom, but I mean, you see the guards, what the fuck are the guards doing? Nothing. What are the townspeople doing? Nothing. You really have to do something. I mean, you look at Lord of the Rings, and there's more interaction going on with the world, with everyone else.
Here's a...
You kind of have to have Link more involved with other people and how the kingdom's doing things.
That's a problem with a lot of RPGs, is that their town sections are really drab and uninteresting in terms of what people are doing and the character that the townspeople have, or more pointedly don't have. Like every so often, a game will come along where the townspeople have a lot of life to them. Like I would say, Final Fantasy IX did a good one. Chrono Cross did a really good job on that point.
Majora's Mask is for sticking with Zelda.
If we're sticking with Zelda, Majora's Mask is really the only example I can think of.
I mean, there's problems with Majora's Mask, sure, but it feels far more lively than every other game in the series.
Mm-hmm. I think the teams in charge of Zelda and RPG developers in general really should take a look at a lot of these games that do their towns really well. Look at what they do well, and then try to do something similar.
So I guess that's about it for Zelda, unless anyone has
anything else. So sum it all up. Ted hates Zelda 1.
Yes, I do hate Zelda 1. I really don't give a shit about the rest of the games.
To be honest, I don't have any feelings whatsoever on Zelda 1 because it's 8-bit, and that turned me off before I even got started.
Don't bother. You'll just frustrate yourself trying to play it.
No, I won't, because I'll have GameFAQs right open on the laptop next to me.
Oh, that's no fun, Lewis. It's a secret to everyone.
Hey guys, you want me to do a month of Pokemon? Ted has to beat Zelda 1 first.
So
Johnny, challenge accepted.
You have to
Without save states.
You have to record yourself too.
Yeah.
To prove it.
Challenge accepted. I don't know when.
So you're either going to play the game without save states or show some really awesome editing skills.
Well, to be perfectly
either
honest,
way, you'll deserve to win.
To be perfectly honest, if you plan your route well, it's not a very long game.
Oh, yeah.
In any case.
Ultimately, my final thoughts are, love Ocarina of Time. I still think the series has value, but it really needs to update itself for modern times.
I think it's a fun series, and that's really the depth of my my opinion on this.
And you, Johnny?
I think we need another over-the-head 2D Zelda game on a console. I'm tired of it being on handhelds.
I disagree.
Well, no, I'm not saying that just stop the 3D games, obviously. I'm just saying, similar to Sonic 4. Actually, one of the reasons why I was excited for Sonic 4 was because it was a 2D game on a console and not on a fucking handheld. Zelda, I'm getting the same vibes with again. Because I love Link to the Past. I love it so much. That, I never get tired of it. Ocarina of Time is right up there too. But there's something I really like about the over-the-top view.
I'm completely opposite of you. I hate over-the-top stuff.
But, actually, now that I think about it more deeply, I do think it would be cool for them to make a Zelda 4, as it were.
You mean
no,
Zelda
don't give
3.
them any ideas.
As a downloadable title, but not until they graduate to the Wii U. Simply because the Wii's online downloadable games shit really sucks.
Well, now that Skyward Sword is out, the Wii's effectively dead.
Yeah. No, Xenoblade's coming over, which pretty much means that Last Story's coming over too.
Too fucking late.
In terms of just new games,
it's dead.
With the release of Skyward Sword, the Wii is dead. Now it's all Wii U at this point. With that said, bring on Smash Brothers Wii U.
Yep.
Pikmin 3!
Metroid 5? Huh?
No more Heroes 3, please.
I'm a fucking Metroid fan here.
Yeah. So that's it for Zelda. Squadala, we're off.
I wonder what's for dinner.
Speaking of which, I'm hungry.
Cake, that's what's for dinner.